Hey, we're back here with another episode of Main Stage Wrestling right here, not on what is our radio station called even? I forgot.
WERW Real College Radio.
Oh, the realist. I forgot. Okay. Thank you for the reminder. I want to play that off as a joke, but I legitimately spaced there. But we're
It's
not
been a
there.
while.
It has, and we're currently not broadcasting live as we usually would on WERW Real College Radio because we're stuck at home in not two different states. You guys are technically in the same place.
Yeah, well, same state, not the same place. It's like a
It's,
4-hour drive.
it's the same place.
Are you not in Syracuse anymore? You took a flight there.
No, no, I'm in Syracuse.
Oh, sorry, I meant JC. Did you take a flight to somewhere else, or did I
Oh,
misremember?
oh. Well, like I've been in Texas for the past like 2.5 months, but I was in Syracuse for like 2 days last weekend. That did happen.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was about to say, why didn't you tell me we could have gotten together, but no one's allowed to get together anyway.
This is true. And then also, I was there purely for the reason that the school messaged me and was like, hey, your stuff is still in our building. Come get it out. This is the day you have to come do that. And so I was there for literally 2 days and I moved out the entire time. So,
At
uh,
least the flights are cheap.
I mean, I guess so. But, like, you know how the thing right now is the flights are supposed to be like, oh, every middle seat is open, right? Like you're only supposed
Yeah.
to book the aisle in row, or sorry, the aisle in the window. They're not doing that. That like everyone keeps saying that's what they're doing. I was there. I took 2 flights. Four technically when you count the layovers, and that is not what they did. I was lied to. This is true. This is true. That was silly optimism on my part. But guys, a whole lot has happened, I think, in the world of wrestling, including that time that I was in Syracuse for just a couple days. And that was also my being in Syracuse was part of the reason that we didn't have main stage last week, actually. We dropped the ball there.
We apologize to all of the fans who are expecting something new, especially our, esteemed fans.
Maya Lesnar,
Yes,
particularly.
yes,
Yes. You
especially.
missed this, Sam, while you were away.
Yeah.
We actually do have a new #1 fan of main stage, and it is indeed the daughter of one Brock Lesnar. So, I mean, we're on the up and up.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I
Finally,
think so.
things are looking good for us. We got like 10 views on our last video.
Oh my God!
Hey, that's better than
Wow.
8.
Oh, that's
This
true.
is true. This is true, but it's still fewer than the number of wrestlers that were accused of sexual misconduct in the past few days. So,
Oh, jeez.
yeah,
You know, we could
yeah.
have at least ran like a best of main stage wrestling last week.
For there to be a best of, I feel like you're really overestimating the quality of content we
Right.
put out
In
today.
in order for there to be a best of, we have to do something worthy of being on a best of.
This is true. This is true. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe for future reference, maybe we can do that going forward. But again, I think maybe the first story we should touch on is the one that I think is probably the most prevalent in the world of wrestling, at least for like, I guess, hardcore fans at the moment. And that is all the names that are coming out with accusations of having misconducted themselves sexually.
Should
And
we have used a different phrase other than touch on?
touch. Okay. Well, you bring up a fair point. But I don't know. This is a weird thing to bring up because I don't want to ignore the topic altogether because that would just feel pretty lame of us to do. But at the same time, I don't want to put out a bunch of names and be like, hey, these guys are sexual abusers when a lot of the accusations are ranging in severity and like substantiation, if that's a word. So like I don't want to go too crazy with like this guy's a sexual predator, you know?
Let's
Then
talk about the main things that had happened, which was
Okay.
David Starr, being stripped of his OTT title as well as his TNT Extreme Wrestling title. I think they
Yeah,
cut
so
ties with him, and also the We the Independent, which is I forgot if they're profit or non-profit, but
that's
they're
like
like
his clothing brand.
that's his
Like
own. I mean,
that's what I thought.
I think they
Yeah, I
are
thought
like
he started all that.
it could be, but there's could be other shareholders behind the company or whatever.
You think we the independents has gone public, Tiger?
Look, there could be other people behind the company, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up right now. We're gonna look it up. What's their
Okay.
situation right now? Think he was affiliated with them, but I don't think he is. Did he start it? I don't know, but it was more than just wrestling. It was independent artists overall.
Okay. Gotcha. So he
Mhm.
probably like headed up their wrestling side of things, I'm guessing.
Um, it is
At least as a
more
face.
wrestling focused because like I'm looking at their website right now, and a lot of the guys are wrestlers, and I think their
Mhm.
main goal was to unionize wrestlers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
was
sounds
I was
about
going
right.
to say maybe the most disappointing part of this whole David Starr thing, besides obviously what he did, is that he was the main push behind the movement to create a professional wrestling union. And with him having to distance himself from literally everything forcibly, it's going to be a big blow to these efforts, which are valiant ones.
By the way, he didn't deny the allegations. I should
Oh.
probably say that.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
he did not.
basically,
That's what I was saying. He did not deny it. He said, "Yeah, it's kind of true."
yeah, I think it's also worth mentioning too that like David Starr was the first person that allegations of any kind really have come out about in the past week or so, and it set into motion all the other accusations that have come out. At least in my view, that's sort of how it's gone on the timeline.
Yeah, could be.
And so the Star ones were more basically like, hey, I think it was from his ex-girlfriends, right? Ex-spouses.
One of his,
Were okay, it's just one.
just one.
Okay. So I guess she was just saying like, "Hey, this guy was really shitty in our relationship. He was emotionally abusive and all this sort of stuff." But like and like that's shitty and that's lame, but was there anything about sexual abuse in that
Yeah.
statement from his ex or no? There was.
Yes, there was.
Oh wow.
She claimed rape.
Okay, so that's pretty severe. Great.
But
Yes,
Wow.
and so David Starr's response was he said, "Look, I was terrible to all of my exes, and I was emotionally abusive, and I cheated on every single one of them, and I'm getting help." And then in a second statement following up, he basically said what I thought was consensual, she may not have.
Yeah. I mean, if you're
And
gonna
he was like, I
make
can see why she would say that, which kind of doesn't.
uh
That's not. That's not great, David Starr.
no, that that's the opposite of thinking you have consent. If you think, oh, maybe she's not okay, whatever.
Well,
It
and
doesn't.
I guess he's trying to say in hindsight he can see how, but
Okay.
either way,
Yeah.
not a good look.
No. And then like so that was the main allegation. That was the main one that set everything into motion. And now of like other stuff is coming out about other wrestlers. And again, it's all on the spectrum of how severe each allegation is and how much proof there is behind each one. But
Maybe
it's
the smart move is if none of them have come out to acknowledge it, then we don't bring it up.
I see. Yeah, that's fair. Which also, by the way, guys, I mentioned this briefly with Tiger, and but and he had no idea. Sam, you remember just like a month or so ago when Velveteen Dream had all the accusations against him?
Yeah,
What happened with that? Because I was
I have
following
no
that
idea.
so closely, and then it just went away. It
Yeah,
just
he just said he was gonna hire like a private investigator or whatever to figure out what happened, and then I haven't heard anything since.
yeah. So like I don't know. I wonder how many of the cases that have come out in the past couple days are gonna follow that same route.
Well, I
I
think
don't
a
know.
lot of it also had to do with we didn't see any punishment towards Velveteen Dream.
And
Whereas
what do you mean by that?
it's gonna be different with like David Starr, who's been stripped of all his championships
Ah,
and distanced from all the organizations he's been part of. With Velveteen Dream, nothing really happened. He wasn't penalized in any way.
yeah. Okay. I was just gonna say that when your identity is so closely tied into being like this ultra liberal dude who's like pushing for human rights and pushing for all this stuff that's super progressive and great. Do you get what
Like,
I'm saying? Like, just I think it's worth mentioning the irony behind that with David Starr specifically, where this is the one dude who all this stuff is so
well, yeah, it's
so
projection. I mean, it happens all over the place. Have you ever noticed that And this is completely true. Some of the congressmen who have been the most fiercely anti-LGBT have turned out to be LGBT themselves. People don't want to confront what they are, so they project the idea that what they are shouldn't is wrong.
For sure, and that's really the moral as we look to what happened this past Friday on SmackDown. Because I think really along those same lines, Sam, Sheamus O'Shaughnessy must be an actual drug addict, and he's projecting onto Jeff Hardy. Thoughts?
It would explain the weight loss.
Okay.
Wow.
Tiger, how are you feeling about this?
I'm not feeling anything about this because I think this is pretty stupid.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm
the
sorry.
storyline or the transition?
The storyline. The storyline.
Okay.
This whole thing
His transition was great.
This whole thing.
Okay.
This whole thing made no sense. And Jeff Hardy. They're like mentioning Jeff Hardy is a drug addict, and that Piss was involved. At the time when Piss was involved, this turned from being stupid to unredeemable. So
Yeah,
that's just
so
what I
let's
think.
actually, I think we should probably talk about what actually happened that we're referencing. In that this past Friday on SmackDown, there was a segment. I think it was actually the segment that started the entire show, where they were gonna do a contract signing for Sheamus and Jeff Hardy's match that was coming up at Backlash that Sunday, and Sheamus, before he was willing to sign the contract, he said that he needed Jeff Hardy to go through a drug test. And thankfully, they had a doctor on site who could do instantaneous piss tests. So it really
tasting
worked
it.
out for the. That's exactly right.
That's the only way it could be instantaneous. That's the only way.
I think so. We didn't see what happened behind that curtain. We really didn't. So Jeff Hardy pisses into a bottle, and the doctor, for whatever reason, he lets Jeff Hardy hold on to the bottle after they exit the curtain. It's very weird. The doctor's watching him piss. It's a whole strange scenario, and this is live on television. And for whatever reason, Jeff Hardy agreed to do the piss test. I feel like there was no reason to give in to that. What does he gain from pissing for Sheamus aside from boosting
the ability to piss on national television? That's what.
This is true. And then also to have a line that was so clearly pre-scripted also get blurred out of the show. I don't understand the thinking, but Jeff Hardy, he takes the bottle of piss after he's done making the sample for the doctor, and he throws it onto Sheamus, saying it's better to be pissed off than pissed on. And
then why didn't he piss on Sheamus in the first place? And then
I know
instead of doing
that's my main criticism of the segment. He just whipped it out on TV, pissed on Sheamus, and called it a day.
Also, to be fair, I understand why the doctor has to be there watching him piss, because if you guys ever watched the film Gattaca, you can indeed fake your own piss test by like having a little tube inside your pants, and then just have somebody else piss go through the tube, and then pretend you're pissing. So there you go.
Wait, I know I watched the movie Gattaca back in like freshman year of high school. It has Ethan Hawke in it.
Yes.
But I don't remember this piss test.
This piss test was an important part of the film's plot line, was that he had like physical problems that forbid him from becoming an astronaut. So he needed like piss to trick people into thinking he was somebody else. And then in the end, the doctor was like, haha, I knew you weren't who you say you were in the first place, because you're a right-handed person, but when you piss, you use your left hand. So now I know.
Oh my!
Do you remember that?
God.
Yeah.
I have never seen this film, and I'm confident that right now you're just taking the piss out of me.
Wow.
Hey, better to be pissed off? Huh?
Well, the way you said it is actually how it sounded on TV, because they did bleep it out the second half. Which, again, okay, guys, I want to express my frustration here for a second. The line is exactly that. The line is supposed to be, it's better to be pissed off than pissed on. This is what Jeff Hardy says. It's a pre-taped show, right? And so they bleep out only the second piss. They don't bleep out the first one, but it's pre-taped. What?
Okay.
Like, if you're gonna bleep out
the FCC occasionally lets you use certain words, but you can only use a certain number of those words. So like they might have had approval for one piss, but not two.
Wow.
Could it be that like pissed off, as in angry, is not censored, but just piss is
Oh,
a wrong word that they can't
I
use.
see. So
But it's
context is important.
yeah, but it's also like the FCC. Like I think PG-13 movies get one F-bomb,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so like
Yeah,
you can curse once. So it could be a similar arrangement there. Either way, I think that the name of this episode should just be piss.
I see. I see. Thank you guys for
No,
this
don't
content.
dilute it. Don't dilute the stream.
Hmm. Okay. Also, I have a question again. I have a question again because I'm playing back the segment from SmackDown in my head, and later in the night, later in the 2-hour show, the doctor who Sheamus himself hired the doctor, so there's all sorts of ethical problems there. But
Oh yeah.
the doctor approaches Sheamus backstage and he's like, "Hey, I got the test results back and it's negative." But doctor, the piss got thrown on Sheamus. How did you get a test?
He
Like,
licked it off of him, of course.
oh,
You could smell it.
wow. So it took him just like an hour and a half for his taste buds and his olfactory senses to get into gear.
Could be that
Yeah,
it,
he had to cross-reference it. He has like a little scratch and sniff card.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I get that. I definitely get that. So that was really the standout from SmackDown. Also on that show, AJ Styles became the Intercontinental Champion. So, I mean, that was pretty sick.
Yeah, that happened as well. I can't wait for Sami Zayn to get it back though, because Sami Zayn is great.
and
I mean,
allegedly this move to SmackDown was because of something between him and former Booker Paul Heyman.
oh, yeah, I did see a lot of rumors about that where a lot of what the internet was saying, so take it with a grain of salt, I
Yeah.
guess, or grain of sand, however you want to say it. The idea was that AJ, when he was on Raw, he didn't necessarily fit in backstage, and like people sort of mocked him a bunch, and he just didn't feel comfortable. And in addition to that, apparently when Paul Heyman was in charge, he didn't put him in as big of a position as the higher ups there, like higher above Paul, wanted him to be in. And so, well, I mean, now Paul Heyman's gone. We didn't get to talk about that, but I think that was a news story from the previous week.
Mhm.
And now, what's it called? Now
Bruce
AJ's
Pritchard.
back on SmackDown, which I'm cool with. I like the idea of AJ being on SmackDown because ever since he's come to WWE, I've associated him with that brand.
Yeah, it's kind of like Kurt Angle with SmackDown. You feel like they fit.
Yeah, I think so. He's the face that runs the place, and I think that's a great catchphrase to bring back. I'm very excited.
It's
for
the
those
house
words.
that AJ Styles built.
That's absolutely correct.
Oh, I forgot about those. I didn't.
Oh.
I did not like those, and I really didn't like those. Like, I'm the big dog. This is his yard. I like those sort of things. Just really cringe. Like really
Yeah.
is really cringy to me.
Well, the house that AJ Styles built, I believe it's a reference to Yankee Stadium being the house that Ruth built.
Okay. I did not know that,
Although-
but
It would be a little bit different because Babe Ruth was, of course, the best player in baseball history, and he did pack Yankee Stadium when it was built. But they also built the stadium around him. They literally they faced the stadium so that when he was playing right field, the sun would not be in his eyes.
pretty badass.
Yeah.
So
know,
I guess you
can
could
get-
say that if SmackDown was literally structured around AJ Styles, then it would definitively be the house that AJ Styles built.
And you know what? I think that analogy holds up because I mean AJ was that guy they built the brand around originally. I think that's an entirely fair comparison.
Then see, Tiger, it's good.
I think so.
If
I
they
think so.
if they like make the top rope super comfortable for him to hit that springboard elbow, I'll be fine with it saying that.
Wow.
The top rope is actually a foot wide.
Yeah, it is made for him. If that's the gimmick, I'm fine with it.
I see. I see. When I think AJ Styles and SmackDown, though, the first thing that comes to my head every single time is that one episode where he and Shane McMahon were brawling backstage, and I forget who went into the car window, but one of them got shoved into the car window, like the driver's side door, and it shatters, right? The glass shatters. Oh my God, he's bleeding. He's bleeding. And then they cut to a camera inside the car, like on the dashboard. And okay.
I think it was Shane went into the car.
Okay. Even still, there was a camera inside of it, which
Just in case someone went into the car.
is that what they have all their employees do? Does Braun Strowman's car also have one?
Yes.
Yes,
so does
and every WWE employee has a body camera.
except for
Great.
the one that Jeff Hardy was driving. If we had video of that, we would know if Sheamus is lying or not.
This is
No,
true,
no,
but
they just won't
also,
release the footage.
oh, I see. But also, if Sheamus was actually the one who framed Hardy for all of that, he would have known about the cameras because he would have one in his own car, and so he
Oh.
would have been smart enough to cover it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, how do you think they film Ride Along?
This is true. Those are all candid.
Yeah,
I
they're
can't-
all in the cars at all times.
I can't wait for a Ride Along episode in which it was just Sheamus and Jeff Hardy.
I
Imagine.
can't wait until the hacker turns out like they're on a 1984 type crusade to expose all the hidden cameras in WWE.
Well, okay, how about this? This is another news story that we can mention right now. Apparently, former SmackDown superstar now, Ali, is moving to Raw, which seems so weird to me because, I mean, like, Ali, maybe he'll do better on Raw. I don't know. I sort of don't have much any hope for Ali at this point. I feel like they've sort of squandered that over the past year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
But I thought for certain, like 100%, he was the one behind the hacker gimmick with Otis and Mandy and all that. But if you're moving him to Mondays, like
It was
clearly
very heavily hinted that it was going to be. It had his circle and everything.
exactly.
But then I think plans changed when he said that he wouldn't come back until the whole COVID stuff is over. So then they had to improvise, maybe give it to someone else. And I think that Ali would fit really well on Paul Heyman's Raw, in that he was intent on pushing Apollo Crews and Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black, and Mustafa Ali would fit in perfectly with that. But with Bruce Pritchard behind Raw now, I don't know.
What?
Maybe. Huh?
Watch them just make him a ninja.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. Talking about the
Because hasn't
ninja.
Pritchard been running SmackDown as well? So, like, if he
Yeah.
wasn't really fitting in SmackDown, then why would he really fit in on Raw?
For sure. I don't know.
I-
I don't know, but hopefully things work out because Ali is amazing, like incredible.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah,
also,
he's incredible.
You mentioned that they might be changing the direction of the hacker gimmick, which I don't know if that's true because it hasn't been on TV in almost a month and a half.
So maybe they
like,
dropped it.
That's what I'm thinking.
That is a change of direction, straight down.
Well, like instead of like changing it to a different person, it's non-existent, which is so
Yeah, they
frustrating.
just dropped the ball.
It's so obnoxious because it's not like Paul Heyman was responsible for that story. Now Paul's gone, because then it's like, okay, whatever, it's understandable. It's the same show. It happens every week. You're filming 5 episodes in advance.
I have a theory.
How can you not?
I have a theory.
Yes. What is your theory?
What if the SmackDown hacker is the anonymous Raw general manager?
It would be Hornswoggle.
What if it's Hornswoggle?
I mean, that would go to our earlier conversation about piss tests. That's enough about SmackDown and piss tests and sexual misconduct. I think we should talk about
You're
the
telling me there's
pay-per-view
enough piss tests?
I know. I'm so sorry. I think we should talk about the pay-per-view that went down this past Sunday with WWE Backlash.
Wait, this is not called the greatest pay-per-view ever?
Oh, my bad. The greatest pay-per-view ever, Backlash.
Oh, that's better.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. My apologies.
that's
My
better.
apologies. And so, I don't know. For when I was preparing my notes, I didn't want to run down the whole card. But then when I thought of the matches I wanted to talk about, I realized there was only like one match I didn't care enough to actually bring up. So I'm gonna go off my little list of notes here. Is that cool with you guys?
Yeah,
Go
sure,
ahead.
go ahead.
Okay, so the opening
time.
matchup, we do indeed, and that's what's lovely about these non-radio editions of main stage wrestling, not live on
The Ely hour is every hour.
This women's match happened in the opening match of Backlash, not counting the pre-show contest,
Mhm.
and it included 3 teams. It was the Iconics versus the Boston Hug Connection versus Alexa and Nikki Cross. And I mean, I don't know why I had that disappointed tone in my voice right there. I really enjoyed this match. It was way better than I expected, and I had a lot of fun watching it. I don't know if you two got to check it out, but I highly recommend it.
Okay,
Admittedly,
yeah, go ahead, Sam.
go. Oh, admittedly, I haven't gotten to see a lot from the pay-per-view outside of a couple of clips, but I heard that it was a really good pay-per-view overall. I'd kind of been saving it to watch at some point.
Okay, awesome. So I'll try not to like spoil too much specifics about like each of the matches, but I think are you cool with us talking about winners and losers?
Yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
Okay, sick.
It's unavoidable.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Tiger?
Oh, I'm just saying to Sam that it's not bad, but it's like moderately average. It's not like the
Oh,
greatest thing ever, right? Like the
yeah,
pay per
yeah.
view overall. I'm not talking about this match.
Like
Yeah.
the pay-per-view in general was pretty good, but when literally, like you said, when it's advertised as supposed to be hosting the greatest match of all time, yeah, you're sort of setting yourself up for failure, and
Hmm.
it's not the smartest recipe in the world,
Who
but
who friggin' okayed that?
Charlie Caruso, it was all she was going into business for herself,
Did she say
clearly.
that?
I don't know. I
Edge
don't know,
said
but
that Edge said that it wasn't the greatest wrestling match ever. He before this match happened, he said it's not going to be the greatest wrestling match ever.
well, that's because Edge is a
They
rational
don't,
and great human.
Charlie. They don't teach you hyperbole in journalism.
I feel like you're lying to our audience, Sam.
You can't
I feel like
go to journalism for that.
I feel like that's all I've learned in my 2 years at Newhouse. But the women's tag match did occur, and again, like I mentioned, it was a really fun match. The Boston Hug connection. They retained their titles, and I'm really happy with what they're doing with the women's tag division right now because they've done so little with it since those tag titles first came into existence,
Hmm.
and now like almost every woman is involved in a tag team while still maintaining some credibility as a single star, and I think that's the way to do it, and I actually care
It's
about the
amazing they're
titles
copying
now.
my Fire Pro booking.
Wow. Wow.
So you just mean like all Japan style tag division where it's just two single guys?
Yeah, but like I think it's working. I mean, there are more established teams, I think, than in that scenario, but I don't know. Whatever they're doing, they've changed it. They put a lot more focus on the women's tag titles, and I think it's working really well.
I guess Nikki and Alexa now are somehow one of the established teams.
Well, yeah, like for the
Well,
longest
yeah, they
time,
have been for a while. Yeah, they've.
That's
When
fine.
you become best friends with someone, you become a tag team. It's just how it
exactly.
works.
This is another one of those situations like the hacker gimmick, when it was so clearly supposed to be this long story before Alexa turns her back on Nikki, and then it just never happened. And so we're stuck with them as a team now. It
Because
it's so
the
strange.
real magic are the friends that we make along the way.
This is true. This is true. They didn't expect how close they would become, and you
Yeah, I
can't
want
jeopardize
more
that for a
wholesome
story.
content in wrestling. That's
I
great.
see.
Not every
For
team
sure.
has to turn on each other. Have some best friends every once in a while.
This is true. This is true. And so,
Oh,
uh,
best friends, huh?
we'll get to
We'll
that
get to
later.
them later.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. But the next match that I want to talk about from Backlash, it goes back to our better to be pissed off than pissed on segment, where Sheamus actually beat Jeff Hardy. And I mean, I'll be honest, this match is one that I totally just zoned out for. Like
Hmm.
I was, and it's so sad because I mean, back when I started watching wrestling, these two were two of my favorites. Like Jeff Hardy was WWE champion, Sheamus had just debuted, he was beating John Cena. It was sick. I love these guys, but 10 years later, it's like, why? Like I care about these two, but not together
Okay.
per se.
What do you think about the finish
Dude,
of
I
this
don't even
match?
remember the finish. I just remember Sheamus won.
Okay.
Do you
No,
remember the
no,
finish?
I just meant like, what do you think about this conclusion that Sheamus won in the end?
Oh, okay. The result.
After
Like,
all this build-up of accusing somebody of being an addict and all of this stuff, was all the piss involved. What do you think about this
so
finish?
I trust the company to have the intelligence to continue on with this story and get to a point where we do have a satisfying conclusion where Jeff Hardy isn't portrayed as a junkie and never gets his and never gets his revenge. So like I'm sure there will be a match in the future. Maybe it'll be on SmackDown, which would be slightly disappointing for him, but where Jeff Hardy finally gets his win back. And so, like, I think it's coming. I don't think the story's over, but I was shocked by the
If
result, and it got me semi-interested.
if this is the end of the storyline, I would call it a piss poor finish.
Wow.
Okay. Just it's a whole lot of piss this episode, guys. You know, where
This is the
really
piss episode.
you were the one advocating for a best of just like half an hour ago, Sam. So I don't know
And
what we're
this would
doing.
fill it.
Oh, I see. I see. So the next match that was on the card that I found notable, it was one that took me by surprise. And maybe you guys will call me out on my severe bias here, but I really enjoyed the handicap match between Braun Strowman and The Miz and Morrison.
I thought the next match was Asuka versus Nia Jax, in which it ended in
Oh.
a double countout.
I mean, do we got to talk about that one?
we
No,
gotta
we don't.
It-
Let's move
we
on.
gotta talk about
Okay.
how horrible this booking was. So Asuka's first. Okay, so Asuka didn't actually win the championship by beating Becky, and this is like her first chance to prove herself. Well, she doesn't need to prove herself, but from outside looking in, without all this build up of like what she did before, this is her first chance as a new champion to prove herself,
Mhm.
and it was a double countout against Nia Jax. So what a great booking decision this was. That's all I gotta say.
Like, I get it though, because you don't want the story to be over after 3 weeks. You know, they've only started this Nia Asuka story on the main roster, and
I
so
do.
like, well, yeah, no, I couldn't care less about it, and it's sort of unfortunate that it's going to be on the TV for the next little while. But I understand that this is probably the best finish for their purposes. Like, it's better than Nia beating Asuka. You know, there's some silver lining there.
Okay, let's not forget that in NXT, in the first encounter, Nia Jax got choked out and tapped out to Asuka. And then from then on, when they went to Raw, suddenly Asuka cannot beat Nia.
I mean, I don't think Asuka's ever lost to Nia, like, ever.
I think she did.
Yeah, Asuka beat her again when they faced in Japan on that one NXT special.
I think-
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, Tiger,
Mm.
because like people were all making jokes about it a few weeks ago. Because okay, we
Uh,
weren't doing the show at this time, but Nia came out to the ring essentially on Raw just a few weeks
yeah,
ago.
yeah,
It was
I
like,
saw that.
we
yeah.
all know how it goes, how it's gonna end when the two of us get in the ring, and then people were posting photos of their record where literally it's like 10-0 in favor of Asuka. So it's just it's a bit unfortunate.
Asuka defeats Nia Jax. Asuka defeats Nia Jax.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. No, you know what? That's
Okay.
it's true. I'm checking the cagematch.net record of Asuka versus Nia.
Oh yes, our
I-
favorite sponsor.
I think on Raw, Asuka lost to her once.
Okay, I can see that happening.
Yeah,
I don't remember
maybe
it, but
maybe a tag match.
oh, okay.
Actually,
Yeah, the whole
I don't
Maybe.
know. Hmm.
to the big team of Tamina and Nia Jax.
Yeah, do you remember when they just decided that Asuka wasn't invincible anymore and she should just start losing like everyone else?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's
disappointing.
understandable. It is disappointing, but at the same time, if Asuka still hadn't lost since 2015, do you have any idea how tired we'd be of her by now?
Well, it's not that she can not lose since 2015. It's that like I'm okay with her losing to Charlotte at WrestleMania.
Mhm.
I'm not okay with her suddenly going from a bunch of wins and one loss to a 500 win percentage.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can
no,
you
like,
can have her lose every once in a while and still have her be a pretty dominant force. She can still have a winning percentage of 800 or so, and she's gonna look great, and not someone who is suddenly lost her shine.
Yeah, I think Asuka is a very special scenario, though. I think she's very unique in the sense that she does go on these spells every once in a while, maybe a couple times a year, where she falls out of that main title picture, and she just sort of like floats there for a while, losing to a few people. But the moment they get her back into a world title picture, you play on the past that she has. You say the most dominant NXT Women's Champion, You say longest undefeated streak in WWE history. You say the one person Becky Lynch can't defeat. And then I think you instantly build her back up. I think she's a very easy wrestler to just, in a matter of like a week or two, make one of your number one stars.
She does make you believe that she turns it back on instantly.
Yes.
She's a phenomenal talent, and she doesn't carry herself like she's been booked 50-50.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
You know what I'm not okay with? Double counts outs in 2020.
I mean,
Double countouts on a pay-per-view, no less.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's more, yeah.
Yeah, it's fair. But again, we'll have to watch a few more of these matches before that story concludes too. So, I mean, we'll see where it's going. But back to the Miz and Morrison versus Braun Strowman, because this match I was not looking forward to, because as much as I love the Miz and as much as I love John Morrison, the two of them together is just some of the worst TV you can watch. Like, they're so cheesy and bad, and I enjoy it just because I like the two of them so much. But I realize if I weren't a wrestling fan, if I weren't a Miz fan, I would it would be way too cringeworthy just to suffer through.
WWE's going all in on the so bad it's good content, aren't they?
Yeah, but
There's
like
Miz and Morrison, there's Piss, there's the Vikings and the Ninjas.
these are all very fair points.
Except those really only work if the creators themselves are taking it super seriously, and WWE just doesn't give a shit. So it comes across as like insincere. So the audience doesn't care either.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we'll get to it eventually, but I do actually really like the whole Street Profits, Viking Raiders, Ninja thing.
Oh.
Yeah, we have that on our list coming up. We can talk about that next, actually. But I do want to just say, this match, I was expecting it to be horrible. I was expecting Braun Strowman to come in and just murder the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was a really compelling match where for like a split second, I thought Miz and Morrison were going to win. And to get me to bite on the Miz and Morrison versus Braun Strowman, I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I enjoyed it.
Mark for the Miz that you thought he was actually going to win.
This is true, but also I think it's notable too to bring up the fact that at one point I think it was John Morrison was about to pin Braun Strowman, and the Miz broke it up because last minute the stipulation was made that only one of them would be able to become Universal Champion, and it'd be who pins Braun. And so I'm wondering now, is this the beginning of the end for Miz and Morrison already?
Could be.
I know. You guys sound so into this. Great.
My intuition says maybe.
I think it's for the best. They have a Lucha Bros situation going on where I love the two of them so much, but they're so much better when they're on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm waiting for them to just go into singles again. But let's go ahead and let's talk about that so bad it's good territory you mentioned, Sam, because we did get to witness a match that was supposed to happen, and that of the Street Profits versus the Viking Raiders, and what became not the Street Raiders, but the Viking Profits, I believe. And
both of those are good names. Honestly, Street Raiders might be better.
Street Raiders is so much better. I wish they'd have gone with that. But they were supposed to have a match on Backlash. The two of them see each other backstage and they get into a fight. And then like it's like really silly and hokey, but it's whatever, right? They've been going back and forth on TV every week with their competitions. They're referencing all of that.
The mini golf segment was really good.
I mean,
was it?
You're entitled to your opinion.
I thought it was stupid, but I mean, here I am laughing about Piss.
This is true. I can't call you a hypocrite, but I don't know. We've talked about it a bit, and we talked about it last week or a couple weeks ago too, Sam, when you weren't here on the show. But I can't stand the stuff that they've been doing on Raw every week leading up to this. I've thought it's been so bad just because I made the point last week or a couple weeks ago that WWE is in a place right now where they can do so much stuff outside of a wrestling ring with such high production value that they could never get away with otherwise with a live audience, right? And what they choose to do with that opportunity is to produce these really low budget, poorly filmed, poorly acted segments with these two incredible tag teams. And like while it's making the four of them more familiar characters to the audience, I think it's not doing anything to help their credibility as like wrestlers.
Well, I mean, you can't have big film crews going out there right now with the whole COVID thing. You do have to keep it at least the size of your crew small, which is going to affect production value a little bit.
I mean, that's fair, but COVID was still going on during the Firefly Funhouse match and the Boneyard match,
Well, I
right?
can't endorse that as responsible.
I mean, I guess not. As far as I know, no one involved had it or got it, but I mean, whatever. Like, if that's the reasoning behind it, sure,
I
whatever.
don't know.
But like,
I'm like I was saying earlier with wholesome content. I am happy with two tag teams learning to respect each other and becoming friends. Kind of like,
yeah.
obviously, it's a very different example to say the Usos and the New Day,
Hmm.
but when there's mutual respect between teams, you kind of miss that sometimes. I like it.
Yeah, like I like that they're making the four of them bigger stars, and I like that they're building character, right? Like I think that's important, and I think they're accomplishing that, and I think that's really cool. But my main problem is just with because you guys aren't watching the 3 hour show every week, I don't think, which I am, and it just
Why?
I, I I also talked about this a couple weeks ago with Tiger. It's a very abusive relationship I have with wrestling.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah,
It's all
yeah. And
very,
so
this sucks, I'm canceling my network subscription. See y'all next Monday at 8.
yes, exactly, exactly. And so like I will say that on that 3 hour show, when the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders had their little competitions where they go back and forth, it was a standout every week, but the low production value and the shitty acting made it a standout for the wrong reasons. Right? Like again, I can appreciate that they built the characters. I can appreciate that they're doing theoretically cool stuff, but in practice, it's not coming together. I think as it should be. Because even look at Darby Allen. Darby Allen's one dude. Just he has a friend who's filming him. Right? That's his entire setup, and he's producing stuff that's 100 times better than this. Just sort of production wise and aesthetically.
Let me ask you this. If back in, say, 2016, 2017, if I came up to you and said, War Machine in 2020 is going to be on Raw pulling a turkey leg out of a mini golf hole with Angelo Dawkins, would you believe me?
I'd be very sad. Like I don't know if I'd believe you, but I know it would send me into like a really sad state of being.
Okay. Also,
Just the
can we
thought would depress you.
can we talk about how poor Akira Tozawa in all of this? Uh, I really think he's just became a jobber now for
What?
he's been a jobber for a while now, jobbing to
He has
Oh
been
my
for like
God.
a couple of years.
Alistair
You know,
Black. Yeah, like I just think he could be used much better, and he's obviously a very good wrestler.
to be
So
fair, he beat Swerve on NXT a couple weeks ago, which sucked.
Have they given him back his German suplex yet?
no,
Uh,
All of this started when they took away his German suplex.
they
He has one of
damn.
the best
Okay.
German suplexes in the business, if you remember the Cruiserweight Classic. It's
I
absolutely
see.
incredible. And
That's
when he
awesome.
came to the main roster, they told him that he couldn't use it anymore. If I remember correctly, I think it was because they were like, Brock Lesnar does the German suplex.
yeah,
Well, the comparisons you would draw between Tozawa and Brock Lesnar, the people would
Of course,
confuse
they're
them.
natural.
Yes, of course.
I'm
well,
sure
Of
that our
course.
new top fan would agree.
of
Hmm.
course, of course. Of course, my new conspiracy for this week is that Kevin Owens is actually one of the ninjas, and he and Tozawa
Damn.
is gonna bring back the Nightmare Violence connection.
Wow. Wow, this is a great theory, Tiger. This is really
Mhm.
viable, I think. And also the ninjas that you're speaking of come later in that Street Profits Viking Raiders match that never happens because the
Ugh.
two of them are brawling backstage, and then they make their way into the parking lot and they come across Tozawa, who just starts spazzing out before a crew of ninjas appears. Like a lot of ninjas, like a good 10 or so ninjas appear to take on these four men. And the Viking Raiders and Street Profits just they beat up said ninjas quite handedly before like an 8'5" ninja comes out and scares them all away.
I believe he's actually 7'3".
8'5" is my calculation.
Okay,
Your calculation, you took like a T-square to your TV?
I don't get how all four of them couldn't just like swarmed and beat the crap out of this guy. I didn't get that part.
He's too big. He's too big.
There's
It's too
four of
scary.
them. They're on the same side, and all the other ninjas are like done, right? At this point.
Yeah, no, they're
Yeah,
on the
but
ground.
you're-
They're
Exactly.
dead.
You're
So
forgetting one of the cardinal rules of wrestling. Big equals power.
Like Tiger, you know that spot where there's like a big dude and he gets swarmed in like a battle royal, right? And like everyone's on top of him, but then all of a sudden he like sticks his arms out and everyone goes flying.
yeah, but I also know that the numbers games caught up with him. You know, the guy,
Oh,
one
I
guy
see.
fighting valiantly against these like all of these like villains, and then suddenly somebody comes from the back and attacks him. And then he's down in one shot from the
Oh
back,
my.
and he's devastated.
Well, I would just like to remind everybody that Super Giant Ninja is the gimmick that was given after the Yeti.
Mm.
He
Great.
became Super Giant Ninja after the Yeti.
So is it canon that they're the same person that we saw on
I hope
Backlash?
so.
Okay,
No,
that's-
good.
that's Supergiant Ninja's son. Just like
Oh,
how
wow.
Big Show is Andre's son.
I see.
Super
I see.
Giant
This all
Ninja
lines up.
Jr. rolls off the tongue.
Exactly.
think
There
so.
you go.
I think so. So I don't know. The street. Okay, so I have been shitting on the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders stuff for the past like month or so, right? But this match, or sort of match that didn't really happen, was entertaining and I enjoyed it. So I think things have started to turn around now that they're focusing more on wrestling. Is that fair?
Is this wrestling? Is this what wrestling is?
It's
Yes,
more
it's absolutely
wrestling
what wrestling is.
than what we've seen in the past few weeks.
Okay.
I think so. But
on a
let's get
parting
on-
note for this
Oh, yeah.
stuff, do you think that Super Giant Ninja Jr. could finally be the person to fulfill Jerry Lawler's prophecy of too big to be thrown over the top rope in the Royal Rumble?
Wow. I mean, all it takes is Beth Phoenix to come in and make out with you, and then it's over, man.
That's true.
I
That's
think
true.
So,
I think there could be a segment in which the Street Profit and like the Viking Raiders are fighting outside, and then suddenly Eric goes, "Look!" and on top of a building nearby, the Supergiant Ninja Jr. is there and holding one hand up, and the announcers go crazy. They're like, "Look at him! He's holding one hand up. That means he's gonna hit the choke slam."
wow. Wow. Well, that's what we have to look forward to this coming Monday, I guess. So,
I hope you got the
Great
reference,
stuff.
and it's not. I'm not just being crazy.
No, was that a Batman reference, or were you saying that he's going to try to choke slam the building?
No, it was a reference to a. It was a reference to the wall in WCW in which Hulk Hogan was cutting a promo, and then suddenly the announcers go, "Hey, look on the other building, there is the wall," and like the wall's like holding one hand up in like the choke slam pose, and then Hulk Hogan goes, "Look at that, that's the wall, brother. He wants to choke slam me off of the building."
oh my God. Well, I can't wait till this coming Monday when Super Giant Ninja Jr. chokeslams a literal building. You know, you guys got my hopes way up. Here,
Book
so
it.
I think so.
Do you think?
I think so.
Do you think the building can be eliminated from the Royal Rumble?
Oh, damn. That's a great question.
You know what? I think we need to go to Kaiju Big Battle to figure this out.
Oh shit!
Fair.
Because they would absolutely book a giant ninja choke slamming a building. That's where we would find it.
Nice. Nice. Well, you know what you can find on Backlash, guys?
Also, shout out to Kaiju Big Battle.
Bobby Lashley is what you can find on Backlash, because he fought Drew McIntyre in a match for the WWE Championship.
I'm
That
actually
was
really looking forward to watching one.
the match was pretty good, I guess. Like it was about what I expected. I thought it would be a cool match with two guys I sort of kind of like. That they're not two of my favorites by any means, but I also acknowledge that they're really, really good. And so when I watched it, it was more an acknowledgement of like, you know what? I can see why this would be enjoyable, but was I on like the edge of my seat watching it? No.
Fair.
Fair. I'm
So
waiting for commentary,
did
and
you
it
not
just
go
never comes,
crazy?
and I feel so bad.
Did you not go crazy every time he locks in the master lock?
I mean, I'm sorry. I forgot that part. This was the match I was most into on the entire show, for the Master Lock exclusively.
I mean, Bobby Lashley, like, towards the end of his Impact run, he was tearing it up. He got so good, and he hasn't really had a chance to unleash it yet in WWE, which is why I'm looking forward to this. I mean, he had, honestly, the match with Finn Balor at WrestleMania, for how short it was actually pretty enjoyable.
Well, except for it was like
I
at the
remember
end of like a 3-hour show, and no one
yeah.
gave a fuck.
Yeah, when you take that out of the equation, it was a pretty enjoyable match.
I'd actually like to add to that and say that it was much longer than a 3-hour show. It was much closer to 6 or 7 hours because we didn't get out of that building till midnight, past midnight. The show went into the next day, so just some clarification.
So was that the first WrestleMania that was too big to be one day?
Oh my God!
Or is that the first WrestleMania too big to be thrown over the top rope?
I want you to know I muted myself to cough, but you got me to pop.
Prime material for the best of. That's what I think. So McIntyre retains the title. Lana costs Bobby Lashley the win. Lashley goes out on Raw the next week and announces he wants a divorce. So I think that's a positive direction to move in. I think separating Lana from Bobby Lashley is the way to go. Like it was fine for that story with Rusev. It made for an entertaining like 6 months of TV, but Rusev's gone now. Lana doesn't really add to that act anymore. I think MVP is way more valuable, and so maybe he'll go on to winning the championship eventually. Who knows?
That'd be nice. He could be built up well, I think.
Maybe. I also don't know if you want to make him champ when he's already like in his mid-40s. You know,
he's like 41, but can you tell?
I mean, no, you can't tell.
He's a year older than AJ Styles. I mean, if you would make AJ Styles champ, then you could theoretically make Bobby Lashley champ.
You could, but the thing is, AJ Styles is already like established, and also I don't see AJ Styles ever winning the WWE Championship again. You know, like I don't think he's at that point in his career. I think he's past that. I think he's in a newer phase where it's like, hey, you're here to sort of ride things out and put on amazing matches, and you're going to be one of our top guys, but not champ. And so, if Bobby's older than him and he still hasn't been champ, I don't know. It seems like a bit of a stretch.
About 1 year or so. It's not really a big gap.
Dude, I'm pretty sure Bobby Lashley is way older than you're giving him credit for, at least by a few years.
Well, I'm looking it up.
Okay, I am too. Let's do this.
Bobby Lashley is 43 years old.
He's 43.
Okay, that's
and AJ Styles is 41, I think.
Okay, so 2 years. I mean, that's a pretty long time, you know. Look at WWE in the time span from 95 to 97. A lot changed in those 2 years.
People also ask, does Bobby Lashley have a wife?
Oh, I see that. That's on my screen too.
Wow.
Then the third one is, are Rusev and Bobby Lashley friends?
And then, is Rusev still married to Lana?
And then and then in broken English, what is Bobby Lashley net worth?
Is it really? Oh.
What is Bobby Lashley net worth?
Oh, I didn't hear the net worth part. I just heard what is
Bobby Lashley? That's the Jeopardy question for who's a 2-time ECW world champion.
Damn. Wow.
What?
That's incredible.
Yes, what is Bobby Lashley? Correct.
Well, guys, I want to talk about what was the main event of the greatest pay-per-view ever, and that of the greatest match ever. No, Bobby Lashley missed it by a little bit.
Lashley.
Ah, man. So, the main event, the Backlash, was the greatest match ever. It was weird. They cut to a graphic right before the match, and the commentators sort of spoke over it, and they were like, this match had like audio enhancement and all sorts of stuff, blah, 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 blah. And then they do these old school introductions for Edge and Randy Orton where they play the voice of the late Howard Finkel, and the referee
What?
comes out and yeah, then the referee comes out in like just a plain white button-up shirt and a bow tie,
I
and
saw that. I actually really enjoyed that touch.
yeah,
Charles
it was
Robinson, that was an old school WCW vibe. That was what
yeah, and
their refs used to wear.
I thought it was pretty cool. I was like, okay, I wonder what they're doing here. This feels interesting and cool. And then they start wrestling, and I went into this pay-per-view and I went into this match thinking, okay, they've been so on the nose and over the top about this being the greatest match ever that it has to be like just a joke, right? Like Edge is gonna spear him or Randy's gonna RKO him in the first second and then he's gonna win. Like I was convinced that's what was happening. But after like 2 or 3 minutes, I started to realize, oh, they're just wrestling a match, and then that instantly got me out of it because I was like, how are they ever going to live up to those expectations? And also in the background, they were piping in like real crowd noise. You could see there were only like
But
20
you can
people in the audience.
They're doing it a disservice by not green screening them into a bigger venue, because they theoretically
Oh,
could. You could surround the ring with green screens, and you could put in, like, the WrestleMania crowd or whatever.
They,
that would have been
then-
absurd.
they should green screen them like in like the Milky Way galaxy, and they're like two giant people that are like bigger than the galaxy fighting each other, and we like add
Throwing planets at each
yeah,
other.
throwing planet. Yeah, that's the greatest match ever.
I see. They should have just done a green
Choke
screen match
slamming
like
buildings.
Empty Tiger. Wow, that'd be the way to do it. It really would. But the thing is, this match keeps going on. We're about like maybe 10 or 15 minutes in, and I'm past the point of my shittiness where I'm thinking to myself like, what the hell? They're having a real match. This is so lame. They're never gonna live up to it being the greatest ever. This really sucks for Edge. This sucks for Randy. It's not a good situation any way you look at it. And then again, the match goes on, and it keeps going, and then it keeps going, and then we're like 25 minutes in, and I am into it, like hook, line, and sinker. Like I am invested in this match, and I care about it so much. And it ended up being by the end just a really, really great wrestling match that it didn't live up to the expectations because the expectations were this is greater than anything that's ever come before. But when you have a match that's advertised as the greatest, and I'm able to walk out going, that was really good, I feel like the match had to be really good.
Yeah, that's a victory. Just to get
Yeah.
you to say that you weren't disappointed by the expectations that were delivered to you, that's a
Yeah.
victory.
And then Randy Orton at the end, he brings out the punt for like the first time in 10 years. It was sick. And I
Slapping
think
his thigh.
he did slap his thigh. He did indeed. That's definitely part of the spot. But I think maybe the biggest story coming out of the match, aside from that, is that Edge, I guess, is legitimately injured now, which is a bit strange. And I don't know if I should believe it or not.
Mm-hmm. If that's true, then I guess that's why they sort of shifted the feud to be between Christian and Randy this Monday.
Well, yeah, let's go ahead
They
and talk
did
about
say
that
that he
then.
went into surgery, didn't he? Or didn't
Yeah,
they?
they said that on the next night on Raw, they announced that he had already undergone surgery, like successfully. So, like, I
Could be a
think it's
work.
real, but yeah, exactly, it could be.
Well, it would
And
also, like, I can see it because usually the doctor they have for these medical emergencies is James Andrews, and his practice is in Florida, so I can see them like quickly getting him to surgery
yeah,
that night possibly.
like I believe it's a possibility. What would be crazy is if they planned to be a story injury and then a real injury happened. More conspiracies, guys. This is a great show. Christian and Randy Orton happened on Raw the next night, so that was a thing.
I saw that. I
yeah,
missed
I don't
Backlash,
know.
but I saw that.
Okay,
what's-
so the show.
Mm-hmm.
The show started with I don't even remember if it was Randy or Christian out first. It was one of I don't know, it was Randy. Randy started out the show and he's talking about how he beat Edge the night before and that how he's like he finally accomplished what he wanted to and that he's happy to announce that he and Edge are going to have another match or whatever, that he'd love to fight Edge again in July. And then he's like in July of 2029 and then Then the crowd boos. They go wild. And then Captain Charisma comes out, and he's like, "Hey, don't talk bad about my friend. That's not nice." And then Randy's like, "Hey, Christian, want to
You
fight?"
captured the charisma right there.
Thank you. I tried my best. Then Randy asks him if he wants to fight. Christian's like, "No, I don't want to fight." But then Randy's like, "Are you sure?" And then Christian's like, "I'll fight." And so then later on in the show, our main event is Christian versus the Viper, Randy Orton.
And then Ric Flair came out.
And then Ric Flair comes out. He low blows Christian. And then Randy Orton wins.
Randy Orton, I don't know how it looked on TV, but on the YouTube video, the punt was like edited. So like he goes for the punt and then freeze frame, and then next frame Christian's down on the ground, and then he goes for the cover. So the punt was so powerful that like it broke the frame rate because I guess he missed it. So they have to edit it.
What they do?
He didn't.
What they do, I can explain, is on YouTube they do not show any moves that target the head. So like if you look at old matches, if there's any chair shots to the head, they freeze frame at the point of contact and then show afterward.
That's
okay,
so dumb.
I guess that's what happened then.
Because they don't want to glorify the violence or whatever, so no chair shots to the head make it on YouTube, and I guess the punt doesn't make it to YouTube either because it similarly targets the head.
But that makes it look like...
If we don't want to glorify violence, why is WWE allowed on YouTube at all? It's literally it's a fake sport revolving around look how how cool these men fighting each other are. Okay.
Well, not glorify violence, I guess, because of all the different controversies about like kids copying moves targeting the head.
Yes.
They don't want, they took away Seth Rollins' curb stomp because they didn't want kids curb stomping each other.
How many kids went to school curb stomping their friends or enemies?
Apparently enough that they need to worry about it.
There's one kid that goes around RKOing people.
I mean, that was like essentially an adult. That kid was like 18.
Okay, this is the video, and if you go to like 40 seconds, you can see the punt that's edited.
I don't think I want to, because I watched it live on Raw, and it looked really good. And I thought it looked great, especially compared to the one he hit on Edge.
Because I thought he totally missed it, and then they had to like edit it in post, and that's what happened.
Oh, it looked good. It looked real good. I'm not going to watch that. I'm going to do myself a favor and watch less wrestling.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's not have a podcast anymore. I don't want to.
Let's have a podcast where we talk about wrestling, but just don't watch it. How about that?
Yeah, and let's give out star ratings to matches we never watched before.
Yeah. Let's just look at what Big Dave said, and we go from there.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
And then we look at Twitter, and then see what news happens. What we got all our news from Twitter.
I mean, that is literally what we do. We were talking about the David Starr story earlier. And...
Yeah. We did watch one thing, though. We did watch our match of the week.
We did, which is going to be coming up in a little bit once we get through the rest of the stories this week in the world of wrestling. So maybe we should hurry through these, because there were a couple other things on Raw that happened that I want to touch on. One is just it's a personally special moment for me that I will live on in my head for the rest of the time. And that was Dominic Mysterio coming out and attacking Seth Rollins. And guys, I love Dominic, okay? I love Dominic so much, and I think he's great.
No, honestly, I do too.
But this week,
unironically, I'm invested.
Well, up until this point, I have been completely invested, ironically. But when he came out to attack Seth, he did so good. He was running around so fast. Like, the way he evaded Austin Theory and Buddy Murphy, like, it looked so smooth. It was so so much better than I expected. And I don't know. I think I want to know if he can actually wrestle a match, because I want to see Dominic Mysterio wrestle now. I'm excited about it.
I imagine he can. Let's not forget when Ray fought Brock Lesnar, we got to see Dominic, who did a really good frog splash and a really good 619.
Dude, he took the best beating ever from Brock. That was insane.
And let's not forget that Ray had him trained by literally the best wrestlers on every continent. I know for sure he was trained by Lance Storm and Ultimo Dragon, as well as Rey Mysterio, his father.
Dude, those are such like big shoes to fill. But like again, I was behind this dude completely ironically. But if he can actually live up to that and he can actually become like a really good wrestler, that'd be so cool. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm behind him super unironically because I want to see him live up to that. I'm hyped because I know that he's got the training. From the brief flashes I've seen of him on TV, I know he's got the raw talent. I really want to see him put it together.
Just the one thing like that's glaringly obvious right now at the moment, and it's I mean
Also,
it's
he's
something
like
his
my
dad.
age.
This is true. I think the one thing that's like glaring about his performance in that like even his dad hasn't quite like mastered per se is like the microphone stuff.
Oh yeah,
Which,
yeah. No, he needs work.
yeah, but he's still super young, so I'm sure it'll come with time.
But I
Yeah,
guess
Mike stuff always comes when you get older. You never have Mike stuff when you first start out.
I mean, you look at MJF and well,
That's true.
also on Raw this week, guys. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. Because like I said, I watch Raw every week. I've been watching it every week for the past like 10 years, since like 2009, 2008, and like ever since quarantine, Raw has sucked so much ass, and it's been just so miserable to get through. Okay, and like I don't want to be a wrestling fan who complains. I want to be a wrestling fan who loves wrestling, and I try my best to love it. And this show makes it so easy to just like only talk about the things that I'm bothered by, right?
I
But
think that's why we dedicate so much more time to WWE than AEW because like when it's not
yeah,
bad, there's just less to talk about.
yeah, and so
maybe if we make it an exclusive AEW podcast, we can fit it all in 1 hour every week.
this is true. We could like legit just run down the whole AEW card each week, and I mean we'd be getting into really deadlock territory there, but I mean it would make for a happier show, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I
Does
think
our
so.
match of the week have to be from AEW then, though?
Oh yeah, we can have two
No,
matches
our,
a
our
week.
match of the week has to be from somebody who showed up on AEW this week.
Oh, that's not a bad
Oh,
idea. That's not a bad except we have to wait
yeah, no,
until
that's
the
not
night
terrible.
before. Like,
Oh, that's true. Yeah. I mean, you
we'll do it
watched
like
match of the week on the day off of our recording, so I don't think.
me?
Yeah. Did you
No, this
not?
week I watched match of the week yesterday. I
Oh,
was a
okay.
prepared boy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
Usually it is
watched
the
it
day
right
of.
before we recorded.
Oh, there we
Okay.
go.
Well, fair enough. But
A
I
couple
would
hours
say,
before, at the very least. Or maybe if it's just someone who is on the AEW roster, that might be.
yeah, or like even just like a guest who's been on recently, something like that. But what I was saying is that I've been watching Raw, all the quarantine Raws so far, and I've watched all of them in full, and I've really just not been too into it. I think the shows have dragged on. I think they haven't been doing a good job without the crowds. I think it's made from some really boring TV. And this week was like legitimately different. This week it felt different, and maybe that's just sort of like confirmation bias of the fact that like I know Paul Heyman's not in charge anymore, so like I'm expecting a change, and so I'm gonna see change. It's like self-fulfilling. But when I watched Raw this week, I found myself a lot more engaged, and I found myself a lot more genuinely interested in each of the segments. Whether or not they ended up being like super high quality wrestling matches, that didn't matter. Like I was more entertained, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that was I think the story that went on throughout most of the show, and that was that Drew McIntyre was going to team up with R-Truth to take on MVP and Bobby Lashley in a match where both the 24/7 title and the WWE Championship were on the line because R-Truth just offered them up. I was like, "Hey, if we lose our match tonight, you guys get our belts." And then Drew was pissed. And like the dynamic of R-Truth and Drew McIntyre, I think was really fun, and
Yeah.
the match itself was really fun as well. I don't know. I think it was really random, but it worked on a lot of levels.
We could put our truth with anybody. It'll make it entertaining. He's got that vibe, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think so. Did you guys get to see any of those matches or those segments backstage from this week?
No, not really.
I
Although it's
I did
it's
get
really
to
hard.
see some of the match.
Okay. Well, one of my favorite things, and it's probably not going to translate as well by me retelling it, but after R-Truth volunteered for both their titles to be on the line, Drew McIntyre got pissed at and was like, "Dude, why'd you do that? Like, do you know how much is riding on this match? You put the last like 5, 6 years of my life on the line, and for what?" And then R-Truth like looks all sad and he's like, no, I'm really sorry, man. And he gets serious. And so then they go to a few matches and they cut back to Drew McIntyre. And then here comes R-Truth walking up to him backstage. And he's like, Drew, don't worry. I got things figured out. So in the match tonight, only the WWE Championship is going to be on the line. And I thought it was incredible.
Okay, that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Maybe I thought what he could do is he says that if Drew somehow loses, he'll lay down for him and give him the 24/7 title as like a gift.
That'd be pretty funny. So I don't know. I enjoyed that.
The finger poke of truth, brother.
Damn. I really enjoyed that story all throughout Raw, and I thought it made for a really interesting show. And so now we can finally get to our AEW talk for the week, and what is my favorite wrestling story in the past year. Okay, guys, you guys will not share the same excitement I do around this, but Ricky Starks has debuted and is officially all elite.
I know you are the #1 Ricky Starks, Mark.
Dude, he's so good. And the thing is, like, I was worried that, like, I worry when all these guys that I really like from the indies get called up to any company that they're gonna come in and it's gonna be like a really cold reception and they're not gonna like get a lot of momentum behind them. Like, honestly, if you told me a week ago Ricky Starks is gonna be in AEW, I would have thought like, oh, cool, is he gonna be on Dark? But what they did is they put him in a showcase match. They gave him a whole video package, and they had him fight Cody in like a 15, 20-minute match. And it was so good. And, like, I can't stress to you how much I loved this segment, and I loved Ricky debuting, and how much I thought it was amazing. But I also understand if people weren't into it because they don't know who Ricky Starks is. So, I don't know. I hope even people that didn't know who he was enjoyed it.
I would like to share enthusiasm, but unfortunately, unlike Sam, I think Sam's watched some Ricky Starks stuff because he watched NWA.
I was about to say that. Yeah, I've watched Ricky Starks on NWA, and he's a good wrestler. He's a pretty decent promo, although I do wonder if his style is any different because obviously with NWA, you're going to see a lot less high-flying stuff. You're going to see a lot more mat-based wrestling.
Yeah, I know at Wrestle Circus, he was in a tag team called Extra Talented with Aaron Solo, and the two of them were like incredible. Like they weren't super flashy, but their matches were always like super, like they were always like the best ones on the card. And they were just like some of the local, because Wrestle Circus always brought in the big names from the whole indie scene, and they were one of the few guys along with Sammy Guevara that were from Texas that they would bring in, like that weren't huge names yet. And so I don't know. I think it's awesome. And then also, I just want to tell a story because I'm excited and I'm happy. When I went to WrestleMania in New Orleans is Ricky Stark's hometown, right? And I was in a restaurant with my dad called Gordon Biersch, which is like right downtown New Orleans. It was right in the middle of everything WrestleMania weekend. Like the convention center was a couple blocks away. The dome wasn't that far either. And I get up to go to the restroom before we leave the restaurant. And I'm in there, like I do my business. I piss, as it were. And
did you get pissed off, or were you pissed on?
I may have. I don't remember all the details. But I walk out of the restroom, and then I'm walking like back to my table, and I feel a tap on my shoulder, and I'm like, oh, like I wonder what that is. Like, is my dad over here? And like I turn around behind me, and Ricky Starks tapped me on the shoulder. He was sitting at the restaurant eating. And he was like, hey, and he recognized me, one, because I was in an Extra Talented t-shirt, which was his tag team, and then two, because he just recognized me from Wrestle Circus. And so, like, he stopped me, and he had, like, a 5-minute conversation. And it was so nice of him, and he didn't need to do that. And it was incredible.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you my... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, I think he's, like, a really, really great dude. That's the extent of my story.
Oh, I was just going to say, did I ever tell you my story about MVP?
I remember you mentioned that you worked with him in Florida, right?
I did work with him. He was really great, obviously a great mind for the business. Fun to talk to in the locker room, but really, it's not much of a story. I just want to share that when we were hanging out before the show with everyone else in the locker room, just kind of sitting around talking, whatever, he looks at me and he says, you know who you remind me of? I said, who? And he said, You ever read Curious George? You look like the man in the big yellow hat.
That's awesome. I mean, that's not a bad comparison. Like, if someone compared me to him, I'd be like, you know what? That's pretty good. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you know what? I've had worse comparisons.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
keep going, guys. I have no context for what you
Oh, yeah,
just said, but go ahead.
You don't know who Curious George is?
No, I have no idea.
Okay, I'm dropping the man in the yellow hat on the group chat.
Please do. Okay, Tiger, we got to get your instant reaction to the man in the yellow hat.
And I'll
Okay,
evaluate
for it.
whether or not it looks like Sam.
Yeah, yes, I think so. Oh, you also have to take into account his character too.
Oh, okay.
He's a very strong but silent type.
Oh, okay.
Well, he's very, he's the voice of moral reason, I guess.
Oh, so like
This is also true.
like the big boss man.
Yeah, it's like Curious George wants to get into trouble, and the big man in the big yellow hat is like the dude who is his caretaker and tries
He
to keep him out
beats-
of trouble.
He beats Curious George, is what Sam is trying to say. Oh, that's such a cute photo.
It's the best one I could find.
Tiger, we need your reaction.
I mean, I need to see this guy in some glasses, you know, and I don't know if it looks like Sam or not. And Sam, I do appreciate that you found the transparent PNG.
Hold on, I'm pulling up Microsoft Paint right now, and we're gonna figure this out.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, while we do get that figured out in Microsoft Paint, I'm going to talk a bit more about this Ricky Starks match because, like I said, they gave him like a whole video package. But before all this, it was part of Cody's whole open challenge. Now that he's North American champion, not North American, he's TNT television champion, right? And so the idea behind it is that Cody's hosting an open challenge every week. But when Arn Anderson got on the microphone, I think what's happening is like a very subtle and slow burn of a heel turn for Cody, because you hear Arn Anderson basically imply that they're handpicking all of Cody's opponents because they're all people that they know Cody can beat. And so,
Okay.
like, when you have a good guy manager managing a good guy and he says, yeah, we're in a position of power and we're going to keep this title because we're not choosing strong opponents, it's
Th-
like, I mean, that's a pretty dirtbag thing to do, right?
What's the literal words he used? Do you remember what he actually said?
I don't remember word for word, but I do remember he said something about how he doesn't want, because Jake Hager basically challenged Cody Rhodes, right?
Uh-huh.
And so this week I thought he was going to fight Jake Hager, but instead Jake Hager was stuck backstage because Cody didn't choose him as his open challenge. He didn't accept his open challenge, and instead Arn Anderson was like, "We're not ready for him yet. Instead, we're going with someone that you can sharpen your skills against."
Okay.
And so like that wording sort of implies like, oh, like he wants easy matches for Cody, right?
But maybe he thinks that Jake Hager isn't even enough to like sharpen Cody's
Damn.
skills. Could be that.
That could have been the implication too. Wow.
Hold
Like-
on,
like
get
he-
this ready.
Okay.
Not that I see. Oh,
Here we go.
oh my God, Sam.
Oh my God, Sam. Why are you okay, I didn't know, when did you take this photo? Hopefully before COVID, but
I also like now that it's a PNG, but it also has the white background on 1/4 of the image. So
I didn't notice that.
Sam, I think you
We
now
can-
need to
We
live.
can crop it later. I hope that when this goes up on YouTube, I really hope you're putting this in the video.
This is gonna be our new. This is gonna be our new picture that goes on forever while we talk. But Sam, I think you need to turn this into your new profile picture and replace Doom
on Discord.
live.
I think so. I think that's what's only fair. So, did you guys actually?
I think MVP nailed it.
I think so too. You got to send this to him. So, did you guys get the chance to check out the Cody and Ricky match, or?
Unfortunately, we did not. But next week,
And-
you can handpick a Ricky Starks match that you think best represents his abilities next
Okay.
week for our match of the
Guys.
week.
I already have our match of the week next week. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, we are going to watch Scarlett and Graves versus Extra Talented from Wrestle Circus. It's up on YouTube for free, and Scarlet and Graves is just the old name of the Rascals, and that match was so sick. So yes, there is. I mean, it's
You know
very
what? You got
far
my
and few
attention.
between. Okay, sick.
Okay.
I feel like it's very rare an occasion on main stage that we're so prepared that we announce the match of the week in advance anymore.
Yeah.
So
In the
you
middle
know,
of the show, no less.
I know, it's incredible.
Or we're so
So
unprepared that we don't even know what we're doing anymore. We're just announcing random stuff to make people think we know what we're
We're
doing.
we're just using Microsoft Paint to make things that we're going to talk about in the middle of the show. We're
I
making
do
the
also.
content as the show goes on.
When you click on the image of the man in the yellow hat and you make it full screen, you can tell that they're glasses. But when I have it minimized in Discord, it looks very much like he's a bandit. Are you guys seeing this?
Yeah, he's got a little bit of a El Kabong vibe.
I think so.
is
I
he?
think so.
Is he? Is this? Is Bandito actually the man in the yellow hat?
Oh wow, Sam, can you
Oh,
confirm? Are you Bandito?
I wish I was Bandito.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
you're just
Well,
about the same height as Bandito, so we're very suspicious about that.
I think so. I think so. But
Give or
another
take
debut,
give or take a foot or so.
another debut actually went down this past Wednesday on Dynamite, and I mean, I've never heard of this woman before in my life. But there's a new AEW superstar named Abaddon who is
Oh yeah.
entering the women's division, and Jesus Christ, is she frightening?
Yeah, she's
Like,
terrifying.
I look at the
She
Fiend
had
and I'm like, he's like a frightening dude, but that's a mask, like that's Bray Wyatt. I looked at this girl. I don't know this girl, but I'm convinced that that is how she looks in real life. Like, I don't
she
see
had
the mask.
because it's not a mask, it's makeup. She had one appearance on AEW Dark in March, I believe. I
Yeah,
forget who
yeah,
she
that's true.
faced,
Yeah, I
but she
saw her.
lost in that effort. And it was
Okay.
kind of people were like, "Whoa, she's so unique that they wanted her back," and they brought her back. I
Apparently
do
so.
appreciate that about AEW is that like when people say we like this person, they sign them.
Yeah, it's sick. Like, I don't get why you wouldn't operate like that. I don't get what you lose by doing business like that.
Well, I guess wondering if there's a long-term place for that person.
I mean, if not, just get rid of them once the steam dies out, Like, maybe that's
Yeah, I guess
shitty
so.
business to do, but like, why not?
Or maybe it's just
So,
because you don't see like WWE bringing in a lot of outside talent that people could be like, we want this person.
I guess so. I mean,
You
fair.
get local jobbers, and that's about it. And they brought back
Yeah.
Ellsworth.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, but that was such a weird occasion. But Abaddon, this girl, this very frightening woman now in the women's division, she has her first match on AEW television, and she just kills Anna Jay. Like, she wins in a matter of like a minute, and I am very into it. And if this is a girl that they're gonna like push as one of their guys or one of their girls, I think that's gonna be awesome. I
Yeah,
I don't know.
looks
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I'm really excited to see what kind of character she carves out because obviously with the look you have an idea. I know they mentioned on social media something about taking souls. That could be cool.
Ooh.
What is it? The society? What were Awesome Con's gimmick before she left?
Oh, the Nightmare
Oh, the
Collective.
Nightmare Collective. We got to start it up again with Abaddon, and
Damn.
we got Loser. We need
Well, that would just be collective soul.
Ooh.
oh
I'm trying to
That
think.
that was
Didn't
the alternative band from the '90s.
Didn't Undertaker for like a quick minute have a catchphrase that involved like taking
Digging
souls
holes
and
and digging
yeah,
holes and taking souls. Yeah.
that sucked so much. So
If
I don't know.
Abaddon comes out with a shovel, how are you gonna react?
I felt like
So,
my
I don't
favorite
know.
Undertaker story this week was on a separate podcast. On this podcast, Deadlock, they talk about the possibility of the Undertaker being the exalted one in an alternate universe, and I thought that was the funniest thing ever.
Incredible. Well, speaking of, the Exalted One did come out, and he lended a hand to Anna Jay, and also handed a contract to Colt Cabana. So they're busy recruiting the Dark Order.
I
And
think there's a problem when you're always recruiting the losers in all these situations. Also, wouldn't Abaddon be actually like a really cool member of the Dark Order?
Well, it's not that they're purposely recruiting the losers. Remember, the whole sales pitch of the Dark Order is that we'll turn you from a loser to a winner.
But
The
But
whole
look
the
at
whole idea of the concept, if
But
you
it didn't
remember from the
work.
original vignettes and whatnot, is that it's like they're kind of preying on the weak. It's not that
yeah,
they're
but
looking to win. It's that they're looking to like to pull a fast one on them.
yeah, I get that, but also eh, the weak people that they're preying on can't be this stupid because Alex Reynolds and John Silver haven't won a match since they joined, and then number 10 or whatever, all that's happened to him is he's got a broken arm. Like, and Evil Uno and Stu Grayson, I don't know what they're doing, but it's not good, I don't think. So like, I think these guys need to start winning some
They
matches.
they did win this week, although it was really unfortunate. They faced a local tag team, and one of their guys got the rare triple crown. He tore 3 things in his knee in the middle of the match. Like
Wow,
I think the ACL, the PCL, and the MCL. He tore all of them
that's quite a
uh,
feat.
in the middle of
That's
the match. And I mean, props to the dude. He kept going and finished the match, but
damn.
that not good luck for the Dark Order, clearly.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe Anna Jay will join them. Maybe that'll be interesting. I don't know what the hell Colt's doing. I can't picture Colt joining, and if he does, I think it'll be a thing like where he turns on them like after a week or so, just because it's so far from anything he's done before, at least that I've seen. But
Unless
let
Colt actually just like turns it around and goes completely heel, nuclear
I
heat.
guess. I mean, that'd be pretty cool.
I
Like,
hope not. I want to support Colt Cabana, fellow Jew.
why can't you support him if he's part of the Dark Order?
Well, because I want to cheer for him.
Oh, I see. You don't want to be a Smark.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't cheer for David Starr anymore.
This is true. Did he join the Dark Order? Am I
But,
missing
but
something?
what
No,
if
worse.
Oh,
but what if Colt Cabana joins the Dark Order, but then the next day the entire Dark Order does a double turn with the Elite?
be awesome. They just all beat him up in their locker room.
And then
That's
like all of the Elite are like locking in sharpshooters on the entirety of the Dark Order, and then the Dark Order guys just won't tap, and then
oh,
after the
I
match,
thought you meant. Oh, I'm so lost. I thought you meant the Dark Order does a double turn on like Colt, and they blindside him. So like Colt signs the contract, and they're like, "Oh, welcome,"
no
and then they
no
just beat the shit out of him.
no, like the Elite all turn heel on the Dark Order, and the Dark Order turn face, the entirety of it.
Oh,
So
wow.
so yeah.
Well, I pitched a similar idea to this back when I was working in Florida. We used to have in the promotion I used to work for, there was a tag team called Dead Man Circus, and they came out and they did the killer clowns and whatever generic type thing. And I said I want to see a face turn of them where they're like trying to prove to people that like dark and spooky is cool, and they're
Hmm.
like trying to reach out to the kids and whatnot. Like one of them would come out with a plastic skull, and I just had this mental image of like him giving it to a kid in the stands and being like, "Take good care of it."
Yeah,
Did that work?
and so like yeah,
Evil. Yeah, evil is fun as a
yeah.
as a face gimmick.
I get, watch. That's what they're gonna do with Abaddon. You have like this cool character,
Yeah,
who's, like
yeah, let's do
badass and
that.
scary. Let's make her a person that loves kids. Great.
She's gonna be the
Sounds
new
great.
Nikki Cross.
Oh joy.
Oh,
Okay, well, guys, in the main segment of AEW this week, we saw Orange Cassidy get his revenge on Le Sex God, or one half of Le Sex Gods, and that of Le Champion. Or no, I guess he's the former champion, Chris Jericho. And this happened because the beta, Chuck Taylor, was teaming up with his partner, the Alpha Trent. And
Is that what they're called
uh,
now?
no, JR on commentary though just said at one point, "I've always seen Trent as the alpha of this tag team," and if really, It came out of nowhere. It added nothing to the match, and it just seemed very hurtful. But
Maybe it's because JR worked with Trent Beretta in WWE, but he's never worked with Chuck Taylor.
maybe, but every time Chuck Taylor's on TV, JR's like, "Oh, this kid's got potential, but he's fat," and it's like, what's the point? Why are you saying this? Chuck Taylor's so good.
I love
Like,
Chuck Taylor. Let him say the S word on TV.
this is true. Maybe that'll be what gets Jerry to turn around, or Jim.
Yeah, when
Sorry,
he
not
finally
Jerry.
says the S word on TV.
The
Yes,
what
I
word?
think so.
What? Am I missing something?
Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
Don't tell him. No, we can't say that on this show. We're PG, brother.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what ends up happening is Les Sex Gods are fighting the Best Friends, and at one point, Sammy Guevara gets whipped into the ropes by Trent, and then you see the cameraman, like, the camera cuts away really quickly, and you see the cameraman grab Sammy Guevara's foot, and he trips him up, and then that leads to Trent being able to hit, what was it, like the crunchy or something on him, and he goes for the cover. 1, 2, 3. The Best Friends win, and then Chris Jericho's freaking out. Sammy Guevara's freaking out. And then you see the cameraman get up on the stage, and he slowly starts undressing. He takes off his hat. He takes off his shirt. He takes off his face mask. And oh my God, it's Orange Cassidy. And he just, I guess, you know what? I don't want to make stuff up.
Is he
In
gonna
my
get
head-
fined for like assaulting and taking a cameraman's gear?
This is true. He also impersonated a cameraman, which I feel is an
Well, we
offense in
have to
itself.
wonder if he did it with permission. Perhaps he went up to Tony
Oh.
Khan and hatched a scheme and was like, "Look, I gotta get to ringside and I need to borrow a camera."
I hope not, because
so-
that seems like very biased behavior from an owner.
Tony
Well,
Khan
I
approved
think it's
potentially
in-
dangerous action of his employees.
Well, it's also in the best interest of the owner to see the bad guy get their comeuppance. Tony
Is
Khan
it?
can't be blind to that.
I guess
Well, yeah,
so.
because
but
as the owner, it's in your best interest to put on the best possible product, and if they feel that helping someone get their comeuppance on someone else would make for a better product, then as an owner, he's obligated to make that happen.
I feel like
Yeah.
WWE has proved that to be false, though. I think as the owner of a
Okay.
company, you want none of your storylines to have a good resolution, so that
Oh, I was saying it. I was talking in kayfabe.
Oh,
the thing about wrestling, guys, is that you want as few stars as possible. You know, you want
You got to make your brand the star.
yeah. You want no personalities. You want no investment in any of the characters, and you just want good, solid wrestling matches that aren't
You
even
want
that solid.
you want everyone to be happy to be there.
Yeah, that's what you want. So, yeah, I think it's a great time. I think it's a great time all around. Orange Cassidy got his revenge. The Best Friends are #1 contenders to the team of Adam Page and Kenny Omega. So, I think that'll be a fun match. I think the Best Friends are great. I love the team of Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. Something I never thought I would say. And yeah, that was AEW Dynamite this week, and that was really all the news in wrestling, right?
yeah.
That's pretty much it, I think. Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, we forgot, guys. We forgot COVID pair on KO Ali.
Oh shit, yeah.
Of course.
That's really important.
Since I forgot this story, I'm going to let one of you two take the lead.
Sam?
Okay, I can take it. So it was announced after the most recent round of tapings that one member of the WWE Performance Center trainee slash staff slash paid audience members tested positive for COVID-19. As a result, not only have they stepped up testing of people allowed into the venue, but both Mustafa Ali and Kevin Owens have said that they will not be returning to WWE until the pandemic is over.
That's a pretty big statement. Like, until the pandemic is over, like, I don't know. I think that's not a smart, that's so definitive and that's so far off, it feels, right?
Well, it wouldn't be so far off if everyone just stayed in their freaking homes.
I guess so, but sometimes your school contacts you and is like, hey, get your belongings before we throw them out. And then you don't have much of a choice. But since COVID happened and since we rebooted the show from our homes, we've gone more the route of just like, hey, want to watch a fun match that maybe no one cares about, and I think we're all on board with that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so-
who chose this week's match? Was it Tiger? I feel like it was Tiger.
Oh, he doesn't want to speak up.
Oh,
He doesn't want to take responsibility.
It was me, yes.
Thank you for choosing this match.
Yeah, I know
Yes.
you are a huge Volk Han mark, and I am
I'm a
too.
huge fan of Volk Han.
Oh wait, what was the match of the week?
What? I thought it was Volk Han versus Tamura.
What the fuck? I thought it was Dante Fox versus Prince Puma.
That was last week.
No, it was Volk Han versus Tamura.
We didn't have a last week, Tiger.
Yeah, but I thought last week
God
was last
damn
week
it.
and this week was this week.
My notes are on Prince Puma and Dante
Okay,
Fox.
let's talk about Prince Puma and Dante Fox first. Let's do that.
Because we watched Volk Han versus Tamura.
No, what? Oh my god.
I don't understand. I don't understand.
Can we pause the taping of this show for 20 minutes or so JC can watch Volk Han versus Tamura?
No,
I feel like
no,
he did.
I watched the match. But I didn't take notes on it. I took notes.
We
I
can
spent
just
like
talk
half-
about it.
No, but Sam, at one point Tiger told me that he wasn't getting he wasn't able to send you the link for match of the week, so I sent it. And the match I sent was Prince Puma and Dante Fox.
No, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
I
I just
told
thought
you
you
to
were-
send Prince Puma versus Dante Fox to him because I couldn't send it to him. I was like, so I guess we're gonna talk about last week's match as well as this week's match.
Did you watch Dante Fox and Prince Puma?
I
No, I
did.
thought we weren't gonna have time.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I
Well, you guys talk about Volk Han then, because I watched the
I
match.
was like, oh, two matches of the week? That's absurd. We could never fit that into the time allotted.
When you said that Tiger was the one who chose the match of the week, and I thought it was Prince Puma and Dante, I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? That's my match. Like, I mean, Tiger did choose it, but that's way more my style than his, I feel like.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Can you
I mean,
talk
this
about a
makes
match
sense
if you
now.
didn't take notes on it?
I can, but I mean, not with the perfect memory that I have for this Dante Fox and Prince Puma match, of course.
Well, I
But
don't want to have to pass up on this opportunity to talk about Volk Han.
this is true. So, Tiger, I don't even know the names of the guys in this match except for Volk Han, apparently. So, you go ahead and take this one.
okay.
You
So-
put some respect on his name, JC.
According to Wikipedia, Volk Han is a Russian professional wrestler and mixed martial artist. All right, and he is known for his technical mastery of the art of sambo. Okay, and in the
Can't wait to
1990s,
read Prince
he-
Puma's Wikipedia. Go on.
and back in the 90s, Japan was big on shoot style wrestling. It still worked, but they fight each other and they kick each other super hard and they do real submission moves. And this was that.
So this is basically Fighting Network Rings, which is this promotion. It was founded off of... It came out of the ashes of UWFI. And shoot style, it is worked MMA. It is MMA style matches that happen to have a predetermined outcome. And Volk Han and Kiyoshi Tamura happen to be two of the best people at this particular style.
And
Volk Han was he was one of the greatest technical wrestlers of the 90s, if not maybe ever, because he was a legitimate actual badass. He trained Fedor Emelianenko, who went undefeated for 10 years in UFC. Kiyoshi Tamura continued to fight in MMA. I'm looking at his Wikipedia right now through Pride, K1 as well. Both of them in actual non-worked MMA have winning records, which you don't see a lot when it comes to the professional wrestling MMA crossover.
Yeah,
so
so
these
I
are
watched
two
this
guys
match.
who really know their stuff.
Yeah. So I watched this match and I was like, okay, Tiger just sent me a 50-minute video. I hope this match isn't 50 minutes. And then I got clarification. I found out the match was 12 minutes. I was like, okay, that's pretty good. And then Then I get to the point in the video where the match is starting, and I'm like, okay, great. This is gonna be a cool match. It's from Japan. It's from a time period that I like a lot of matches from. This is gonna be pretty cool. And then it ends up just being two guys hugging one another's legs for like 12 minutes, and then it was over.
But there was so much
Yeah.
that went on when they were hugging each other's legs. All these
Yeah,
reversals.
honestly, it was so good. I love this match.
This is not my style at all.
Because
Like-
I love this style because you're looking for the little things. It's kind of like chess, you know? It's like it was Gordon Sully who said wrestling was a human game of chess, and this kind of is a natural conclusion of that. You're looking for the little ways that, like, when they're put into a knee bar, he tries to wrap the head around to try to put in a submission of his own. You're watching as they're, you know, trying to extend the holds. They're trying to get to the ropes to get that break. You're acknowledging that if no one gets knocked out or tapped out, they have that little meter at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
1 point for rope breaks, 2 points for knockdowns, and you're seeing if they can fill it. There's a lot going on that's you just gotta look for it.
If I'm gonna watch a match like this, though, that feels so like it feels like a lot isn't happening and it isn't the subtleties. In my mind, I'm like, why don't I just watch real MMA? Why don't I just watch a match where these guys are actually trying to hurt one another?
Because real MMA
Because real
actually
MMA is
wasn't
a lot more
invented
boring.
at this point. Real MMA
I
was not
disagree.
invented.
I'm way more into. I'm sorry. What was that, Tiger?
Real MMA actually was not invented at this point in time.
Yeah,
Well,
but
it
I
was.
live
It
in the
was just
future.
it was in the early stages. UFC 1 was in like what 1993, and this was 1996. So there was MMA. It was just in its infancy and it wasn't taken seriously. And I do remember actually, it wasn't until like the early 2000s that it wasn't on death's door. Most of UFC's early history, they were like one step away from shutting down.
Dude, Ken Shamrock had to go to WWE. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and Severed too.
But this match, like, I get if you're into super technical stuff. Like, yeah, this is probably a really great match, and like I could tell the crowd was into it. I thought it was high intensity, which for a match to feel high intensity when you're laying on the mat the whole time, that's pretty cool, right? And I can acknowledge that was part of the match, and I can acknowledge that it was probably really good for someone who likes that style, especially in the context in which the match took place, which is a time when MMA wasn't as popular and this style of wrestling was more sought after, I guess, especially I guess in Japan, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
watching it now in 2020, when it's just like I get people like the little things, but also I maybe I'm just not as cultured of a fan because I'll watch the match and I'll do what I did during Sheamus and Jeff Hardy. I'll phase out, you know. I'll just be like, okay, like I'm
Well, I
watching
mean,
wrestling
did you-
technically, but
I know
Yeah.
you go to Mania every year. Do you like Josh Barnett's Bloodsport?
I have not gone to Bloodsport before, because usually I mean, I'm a WWE fan, like true and true. So a lot of my WrestleMania weekends revolve around WWE, aside from like pancakes and pile drivers. But I have watched Bloodsports before, and they're fun. But also with Bloodsport, they're people I know and care about. You know, like to watch
Mhm.
Matt Riddle and Suzuki, it's like, yeah, I want to see that because I love Matt Riddle and I love Minoru Suzuki, right? Like, so or like Nick Gage fighting Killer Cross, like those are just they're characters I care about. So to see them fight a different style of wrestling is easier, even if it's a style I'm not as interested in per se. Whereas this is two guys I have essentially no knowledge of, with commentators I can't understand, and a style of wrestling I don't enjoy. So it's just it wasn't like, do you get what I mean? It wasn't for me,
I
but I
get what-
definitely get.
I get
I
what
get
you
what people
mean, but like even if you just look at Volk Han for like 4-minute highlight videos or whatever, I just can't see how you can't appreciate the guy.
probably
Maybe it
would.
didn't help that he does have a finisher. You don't exactly, see it a lot in these types of matches. You don't really see finishers, but he does break it out on occasion. The sickle sleeper is pretty sick.
To be fair, if I knew this was our match of the week, I would have done more research and I would have watched more stuff from him so I knew who I was talking about. But I didn't know this was a thing.
Wait, I thought Volk Han's finisher is the double heel hook.
I thought it was the sickle sleeper.
What's the sickle sleeper?
What a
That's
couple
like
of
where
matches.
he wraps the guy around. And he's got a sleeper on with his right arm and the left arm. He's got the legs wrapped around, and
Okay,
he's
I guess
wrenching
I've
on the
never seen
abdomen.
enough Volk Han to see him hit his finish.
Okay, I'm
You guys are
gonna have to
showing
pull
your
up a friggin' picture or something.
Okay.
showing your true colors here. Both fake fans of Volk Han. This
No,
is this
Sam
is
Sam
devastating.
knows the sickle sleeper. Sam's a true Volk
Hey,
Han
oh, I
enthusiast.
see. I see. So you're just a fake fan, Tiger.
I am.
Okay. Okay. Well, as a fake fan of Volk Han, can you describe the finish of this match, how it all culminated?
The finish of the match was Tomura tried to kick Volk Han, and Volk Han caught one of his legs, and then he kicked Tamura's other leg out of his leg into a heel hook, and then Tamura taps.
Damn. What a contest. 5 stars.
And then there was also a spot, I don't know if you remember this, in which Tamura tries to grab the armbar, but Volk Han has his hands gripped. So Tamura was like tugging on the left arm and then switching to the right and then switching to the left. And when Volk Han wasn't expecting it, went into the other direction and got the armbar. I thought that was pretty cool.
I
Nice.
also appreciated like there was storytelling going on in that match. I mean, Volk Han was subject to a knockout or to a knockdown, and Tamura was repeatedly kicking him left, right, left,
Mm-hmm.
and he was on spaghetti legs, and he showed his hand, and Volk Han was able to anticipate it and catch the kick, and that's how it all ended.
Yeah, they're like
Nice.
booking Tamura as like the better striker, but Volk Han's obviously the better grappler.
Mhm.
So there's that
Mhm.
dynamic going on. And I'm sure you got all of it, JC. I knew you
Oh
paid.
yeah, no, I understood all the nuances. I absorbed it all. I walked away a smarter wrestling fan as a result. So it was
You,
educational.
so are you saying that you went in on Mark and you came out as Mark?
That's true. Yes, this is exactly what happened.
I can't
So
find a photo, so I'm gonna have to like take a screenshot off of YouTube.
fair. Okay. So do we want to briefly run down our second match of the week?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Okay, okay. So Sam, the second match of the week that we watched is, as I've already mentioned, Dante Fox versus Prince Puma in Lucha Underground from season 3, and it was from their Cueto Cup tournament. And I don't want to go into the full match now, just because we already went over a match. But basically, the Cueto Cup was to determine who was going to fight the Lucha Underground champion at Ultima Lucha Tres in the main event. And so it was this 32-man tournament that took place over the course of like months, right? It was super long. And this was a quarterfinal match, and it was right in the midst of the AR, first not AR Fox, the Dante Fox and Shane Strickland story, which was like one of the best storylines in all of Lucha, right? And it led to one of the best matches as well. It's like that was sick, and I didn't realize at all that this was part of it.
That was
And
the Weapons of Mass Destruction match, right?
yeah,
No,
and then
that was with Marty the Moth. They're
Oh,
talking
what?
about the
never
three
mind. You're
stages of
right.
hell match.
Wait, so what? The Dante Fox match was called Three Stages to Hell?
It
I'm
was
confused.
the Dante Fox match was not called the Weapons of Mass Destruction. That was between
Oh,
Killshot and Marty the Moth.
was it something Warfare? I have no
It,
clue. It was a great match though.
yeah,
It was an
yeah.
ambulance match.
Ambulance match. There we
That's
go.
what it
Yeah.
was. So, this was also the point in Prince Puma's Lucha Underground career where he got all edgy and he started wearing black jeans and a black mask. And so that was strange to see. I sort of forgot about that phase from his career.
He looks like he's in
And
the same stable as Dante Fox.
he really does. He really, and I mean, those two as a team, while Prince Puma was obviously way bigger than being in the team in Lucha, that would have been sick.
Yeah.
But I really, just by watching this, guys, I love Lucha Underground so much, and it made me miss everything about it. Like,
It
I
made
miss
me.
Miss
Lucha Underground.
Puma. I even missed Vampiro and Matt Stryker.
I
Like their voices are
I
so
did
like,
not.
oh,
I
I
miss
love those two
Ricochet.
together.
What happened to Ricochet? I miss him.
Oh well, actually, let me tell you about this, Tiger, because I actually have Prince Puma's Wikipedia pulled up, and uh, Prince Puma
Oh,
is
when
an
you guys are
American
ready, I
professional
have a
wrestler.
screenshot of Volk Han.
Oh, okay. Let's go ahead and look at the screen cap.
Okay. This is the sickle sleeper.
Oh, that
Oh,
looks gross.
okay. So it's like a
Yeah, so he's
SCF,
got
but a sleeper hold.
Yeah, so he's wrenching away on the head, and he's using his legs to pull the opponent's legs back, and he's essentially, so he's putting torque on the knee, the neck, and the midsection because the back is bridged.
Damn.
Somebody should bring
It
this
looks
back.
brutal.
Yeah, it is sick as hell. It's in Fire Pro.
Well, what I thought was sick as hell was this match between Dante Fox and Prince Puma. Because, guys, okay, the match started out super fast, and it was sick.
They
and also,
traded
Vampiro said
dives
he was.
on each other.
They did. And Vampiro said if he was going to put
Speaking of
money
Randy
on it,
Orton,
he was going to choose Puma. And then after Vampiro said that he was going to put money on it, Matt Striker just responded, "All right," and then it got silent and awkward. But then the match got less fast, and it was a very fun match, and it was a great match, and they went back and forth, and it was nice. And then basically my takeaway from the whole thing, I don't want to run through it all. That's dumb right now. Is that Prince Puma's already this established star, right? And Dante Fox was on the rise at the time. Like, for a while, I was convinced he was going to become like one of their top guys just because of how big his and Killshot's feud was becoming. And it really made Dante look so much tougher than he did before this match because it was like really even for most of it,
Mm-hmm.
but most of the pinfalls were on Dante, and he kicked out like every time for like the full 15 minutes the match lasted.
Yeah.
And so I thought it helped Puma because it let him advance in the final because he won, but it made Dante feel like a really strong and viable competitor. And then after the match, it led to Killshot coming out, making it known to Dante that they don't have settled business, right? Like, they still hate each other. And then Puma got to move on to the next round where he fought Phoenix in the semifinals, which I don't remember that match happening, but I need to watch it because Phoenix versus Ricochet sounds beautiful, okay? And
I'm
then
pretty sure they fought a couple of times in Lucha Underground.
I'm sure they did, but for whatever reason, none of them stick in my mind. But I feel like those two together couldn't have been bad, you know?
Okay, watching
There
this.
was nothing bad in Lucha Underground except for
This
Sexy
is
Star.
true. What about Big Bad Steve from season 4?
What?
We don't talk about season 4, mostly
Oh,
because
okay.
I can't talk about it because I haven't seen it.
My bad.
I
So
finished on season 3.
I see. Well, that's pretty fair. Season 4 it didn't feel like lucha. Like, they changed the atmosphere. They moved to a different temple. They were in an ice freezer, and instead of that red sort of
It
cast
was
that
very
they have
blue,
over
wasn't
everything,
it?
yeah, they made it a lot cooler than warm. Which, like, after like the first couple months, I sort of became okay with it, and I was like, okay, you know what, the show is growing. But then the show ended, and I was like, okay, well then I guess it's just a weird period in the history of lucha. Also, Dario Cueto was dead, and they
I was
replaced him
gonna
with his
say.
dad. So it was a strange
and
time all around.
And it
You
was
can't have a temple without Dario Cueto. It just doesn't work.
No.
and it was revealed that the higher power was Stu Bennett all along.
Oh, I forgot about that. Was the gold was
Yeah.
the Gauntlet of the Gods, was that in season 3 or 4? Sam?
4.
I think that was
season 4.
3.
Okay, so you saw it.
No, when Brian Cage got the gauntlet, that was
Yeah.
No, but then in
Okay.
season
Those
4,
three.
John Morrison got the gauntlet.
Oh, also in season 4 is when John Morrison murdered Vibora and Pindar, which was
Yes, I do. I've
ridiculous.
seen that. Yeah.
Also in season
Okay.
4 was when Tanya was hypnotized by the doll
Oh, Ricky Mundo's doll.
or
What a
something.
great story.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember it for sure.
Remember
and
when
then Sammy
Brian
Guevara.
Cage punched through the face of that councilman?
I do.
Remember
That was
when
when he first got the glove. It was
Remember when
unfortunate.
Angelico jumped off of the top of the building onto 3 guys?
Remember
when
when
Lucha
Ezekiel
Underground was on
Jackson-
TV?
Oh, it's been so long.
Okay,
I miss it. I miss
one
it so
one
much.
other thing I
We
wanted
can dedicate a whole special show to reminiscing about Lucha Underground.
next
Yes, we
week
could.
the Lucha Underground special. We have to watch the entire season 1 before next week.
Damn.
Okay.
That
no-
honestly would not be hard. If you assigned that to me, I would do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I would do it too.
Can I say something about the finish of this match?
Mm-hmm.
is that when Ricochet hit the 630, and then he does
Who?
the really sorry Prince Puma Dark. Prince Puma
Thank you.
Dark. He hits
Dark.
yeah. Prince Puma Dark hits the 630, and then he does that thing where after he hits it, he bounces back up and just stands there for a second, and he looks so cool. He looks like a killer, and I'm just thinking
Ooh,
they should stop.
Prince Puma was so cool.
They should stop booking him like a fucking underdog in the WWE. They
I
should
know.
book the 630 as like a killer move, like it's a fucking pile driver. And whoever gets hit by the okay, so he hits a 630, he stands back up, really cool, and then he doesn't go for the pin. The ref goes to check on the guy who's on the ground, and the guy on the ground is like convulsing, like he's Shane McMahon just got powerbombed onto a pile of ladders, and then a fucking a medical team comes out, puts a guy on a stretcher, and every week Ricochet kills somebody with the 630, okay?
So you're saying they should book the 630 like a punt?
Yes, the 630 kills people. The 630 crushes your sternum, and you're fucked after the 630 is hit on you. And then Ricochet becomes the biggest heel of the company. And like,
Damn.
it comes to a match where like he and a Strowman is in like a last man standing, and then Strowman, the like valiant babyface, after it gets hit by the 630, attempts to stand up multiple times but could not, and then lies down for the 10 count, and Ricochet wins.
Damn, the 10 count.
Yeah, it's a last man standing match.
That's incredible. That sounds incredible, man.
I think that's the way they should go with him instead of what they're doing with him right now.
But the point that was all based off of is how cool Prince Puma is, and I can't deny it whatsoever. And I thought too, like I wrote down in my notes that when I was watching it, I realized how special it is that Puma was a guy who, going into Lucha Underground, you could tell they wanted him to be their top star, right? Because they put him in the first main event with Johnny. They made him one of their first champions. Like he was positioned. Yeah, like he was positioned to be their guy. And I feel like normally when that happens, fans aren't very receptive and they catch on to it and they turn against it. But with Puma, even though it was clear like there was a concerted push for him, everyone loved him. And I think that's so impressive.
I think part of it is, and honestly, we can go on a whole nother tangent about how Lucha Underground is a perfect example of how pre-taping can be done right. But I think part of it is that, from the reports I've read, because obviously I never got to go to a Lucha Underground show, is that before the show, they just straight up told the audience, look, you're part of the show. You cheer for the good guys and you boo for the bad guys. And the audience followed along, and it makes the whole show just so special because of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one
Like,
is no one's sitting on their hands, no one's being all smarky and cheering for the heels. You
Well, like,
just got
the
people
fans
who it's great.
were so dedicated there too, because like you had to email, like if you were a Lucha Underground like attendee, I think like almost everyone was a regular. Like you sent your emails in, you reserved your spots, it was free. Like I feel like they did such a good job of cultivating such like a loyal and amazing fan base that just they wanted to be there and they wanted to make the show as good as possible. And it's I think it worked. I think it worked so well. And they weren't paid, which is very vital to this. They were not a paid audience. Okay.
I miss
What?
Lucha Underground.
I think also it helped that Prince Puma didn't cut any promos at the beginning, and he was not
definitely.
he was not an intrusive presence in this world, and he was sort of like, like he was sort of like the obviously Conan was like a evil guy, or presented as an evil guy, and he was sort of being manipulated by him. So you felt like you could get behind like Prince Puma because you care about him and you don't want him to get manipulated by Conan. So
yeah, that's very fair.
I think that worked really well. As in like a really young upstart was like an obviously guy who was trying to use him is like a good setup for like a babyface.
Yeah, I think so too. And then this match set up Prince Puma to go on to win the Cueto Cup, actually. He made it to the finals against Pentagon, which led Puma to the main event of Ultima Lucha, where he fought it was Johnny Mundo in a career versus title match. Is that correct? I think that's correct.
I think that's
And
correct, because didn't Prince Puma leave after season 3?
yeah, I think so. Well, I'm trying to remember. I think Puma won, right? But then Pentagon came out and he cashed
Oh,
in his
that's
gift to
right.
the gods.
Yes, that's what happened.
So I think it was Johnny Mundo who left because he got signed or so. I don't remember. It's so blurry, but I definitely remember Pentagon coming out and he ended season 3 as the champion, and it made me so happy. So
And then season 4 happened.
yeah, and like season 4 wasn't bad. It didn't feel like lucha, you know?
Yeah, it felt like
I
they
mean,
were on the way out.
you had Stu Bennett and you had Jack Swagger as your world champion.
You mentioned Stu Bennett, but he was legitimately on for like 2 segments, okay? That like at most. But Jake Hager was there for a while.
And he was the
Hurt.
champion, and they
Yeah.
didn't have Dario Cueto.
So you didn't like
Well-
Paul London and the Rabbit Tribe?
Oh, dude,
I liked Paul London in the Rabbit Tribe. I wanted to see more Paul London.
I honestly think season 4 like was one of the best for the Rabbit Tribe because they had Killer Cross come in as the Black Rabbit, and he did the Fiend's gimmick. He stuck his fingers in people's mouth and made them bleed, and it was so cool. Like, and he murdered what's Masquerita Sagrada and replaced him with another little person luchador who was dressed in black, and it was great. It was they could have been so cool if they like continued on with lucha.
Sorry, but when the Fiend did the same thing, you didn't think it was cool?
Hmm?
When the
Did I say
Fiend
that?
made Seth Rollins bleed, did you not think it was cool?
No, I did.
Oh,
But
okay.
I think Killer Cross did it first in lucha, and when he did, he put on a white glove when he did it, so you would see the blood show up on his glove, and he was so good, and he's still so
by
good.
the way,
Carry-on Cross is great.
I learned this the other day. I did not realize that. Remember Nightclaw? He was in there for like 3 matches.
Huh?
Who?
In Lucha Underground, there was someone named Nightclaw. He was in there for like 3 or 4 matches. He
What
didn't do
did he
much.
look like?
He was dressed in all black. He looked kind of like Black Panther.
Oh, you're not thinking about El Bengala, are you?
No.
No,
Oh,
no,
I
I'm
know.
talking
I
about
know
Night.
who you're talking about.
Because you know who it was?
It was
turns out? It was
Flamita.
Flamita.
Yeah.
Oh, let me go ahead and
I
look
didn't
up
know that.
Nightclaw, Lucha Underground. I'm pulling them up right here.
On Reddit,
Oh,
somebody said, "What happened to Nightclaw?" I don't know if you guys remember him. He appeared only once in season 1. He was involved in the Gift of Gods title match at Ultima Lucha, and that was it. What's up with that?
Wow. I'm looking at him and I don't remember him at all, but he looks badass.
Yeah, he was there for like 3 matches, but it was Flamita. Who knew?
Damn, that's pretty sick. That's awesome. What was the name of the dude from 423 Get Fame?
That was Famous B.
There we go. Okay, that name has been plaguing me. Thank you so much.
Remember
Okay.
You're
in
welcome.
season 1 there was this guy called something Loco, and
What?
El Mariachi Loco.
right? Am I not?
He was one of the jobbers. Yeah.
Yeah,
What?
he was
Yeah,
super
yeah,
cool.
Mariachi Loco.
Let me look him up too. I just want to see photos of these guys so I can remember them. I
thought-
remember the main event of the first episode was Chavo Guerrero versus
Blue Demon.
yeah, Blue Demon Jr. It was sick. Let's see. Who the hell is this dude?
El
don't
Mariachi
really know.
Loco. He does.
I mean, a lot of these guys were local California guys, like the whole
Oh.
Famous B, and then Cortez was local, and Mr. Cisco was local.
Oh, he had to be local. He was a cop, Cortez. You know?
Yeah, I mean, all of the like most of the undercard, like the jobbers, if you will,
Yeah.
were California scene guys, with the notable exception of Argenis.
I gotcha. Argenis was so bad. I mean, he was like a good wrestler, but I don't know if he ever won. Not once in Lucha
I
Underground.
don't think he won once. I felt bad for him. I wanted to see
So
him win.
sad. So sad. Didn't Argenis turn into that spider luchador in the last season too? Like he just started wearing a spider mask and he went by a different name.
Doesn't that happen like
he
a
was
lot?
he was he was one of the
Oh,
what's his
Mil
name? Mil
Muertes
Muertes'
guy.
guys. Yeah,
Yeah, the
one of those
Disciples
skull
of
guys.
Death. Was that it?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Those dudes were sick too. God damn.
They
Okay, that's
were.
enough. That's
Okay.
enough Lucha Underground talk.
We
I gotta
spent
wait, wait,
20
wait,
minutes
hold on,
here.
hold
talking
on.
about Lucha, just reminiscing.
Hold on.
We did.
Sam.
We're making Tiger's life and editing hell.
I'm not editing this video. This video is going 2 hours long. I'm not doing anything to this video. I'm sorry,
At
but
least, at least edit the sexual assault talk so we don't sound as horrible as I think I came off.
And please at least edit the man in the yellow hat into the relevant section.
Yes,
okay.
this is true too.
All right. Maybe you guys don't want it as a Friday episode. Maybe you guys want it as a Saturday episode instead. Is what it sounds like to me.
That's fine with me.
Okay, Sam. Do you remember how in OSW review they always shit when they were talking about TNA? They always shit on Judas Messias.
Yes.
And do you know who that is?
I know that's Mil Muertes.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, there's a big difference between Mil Muertes and someone who is presented as a monster, but is clearly smaller than most of the TNA roster, and also bites barbed wire and bleeds from the mouth purposely for some reason.
So sorry. So you're saying that you're okay with Mil Muertes using the flatliner, but you're not okay with El Messias using the self rock bottom.
I was actually not okay with Mil Muertes using the flatliner.
I thought the flatliner.
Actually, this is my unpopular opinion about Lucha Underground. I never got into Mil Muertes.
Damn. I mean, I can see that, but I don't know. I thought it was so cool. I was into Katrina. I thought they were sick.
I want Mil Muertes and
I thought
Katrina.
Katrina's acting was terrible.
Oh.
I mean, it's wrestling. I feel like I've
Yeah,
become
but I
very
thought hers was
accustomed.
just like especially terrible. It took me out every time she was on screen.
I gotcha.
mean,
That's not.
Like when she was a ringside manager, she wasn't bad, but just in her segments, I
Yeah.
didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, I can see that.
I want Mil
Well-
Muertes and Katrina versus Karrion Kross and Scarlett.
Dude, that would actually
would
be
be
so
sick.
cool. Okay.
That would be a
Well,
great match.
Well, guys, I think we got to call it here for this episode of Main Stage.
Oh,
It's
Can I say one more thing though?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So actually, when you look up the top video of Volk Han on YouTube, there is a random appearance in the comments by Killer Cross himself.
Oh.
Who said,
Where?
yeah,
Send us the
and he
video.
yeah, it's in like a Volk Han highlight video, and Killer Cross says, "I love Volk Han. This is all I did for the first 6 months of my career."
That's awesome.
Where's that?
I'm gonna pull it up. Hold on.
For sure. Well, guys, it's astounding that this show is being produced, and we're well past our first 6 months into our broadcasting careers. You know,
There we
so
are. Look in the comments. It says, "Another masterpiece. I'll try to dig up some of my old indie matches. This is all I was doing for 6 months. Lol. First match I ever won was with a hammerlock guillotine."
Where is that?
I gotta
Killer
pick my mom
Cross?
up from the airport.
Killer Cross.
Now we're just talking about Volk Han. I feel
Is
like
that actual Killer Cross or?
Like,
is
That's
some
actual
fan?
Killer Cross. Look at his YouTube page. It's actual
Oh.
Killer Cross.
I'm just. Are we ready
To do what?
to ride
To
off into
start
the
up
sunset?
this week's Main Stage Wrestling.
Okay, guys. Thank you all for joining us on this week's Main Stage. If you're watching this, you found us on YouTube, I guess. So just stick around on YouTube. We don't really have social media that's active. So if you're here, stay here. Leave a comment. Get in touch with us. Do whatever you want. But guys, we'll be back next week with another episode of Main Stage. And you know what they say. It's better to be pissed off than pissed on. Goodbye, everybody.